Chapter 359. The Hurricane Wolf King was very big, and it had no problem sitting on 5 or 6 people. However, men and women should not touch each other. How could Shengguan Xinyao have the nerve to sit together with Jun Changshao? Sect Master, she said weakly, let's take the carriage. No need. Jun Changshao said. Shengguan Xinyao's brows furrowed. She was a disciple, and he was the sect master. If they insisted on sitting together, what should she do? Or perhaps, should the people of the martial world not bother about trifles? While Shengguan Xinyao was thinking, Jun Changshao waved his hand and threw out the gate palm ball. Bang! The Tai Chi pattern flashed. Hoo-hoo! A tiger beast with purple hair and electric arcs suddenly appeared out of thin air. This, Shengguan Xinyao said in disbelief, purple lightning tiger cub. Shwa! Jun Changshao rode on the purple lightning tiger cub and said with a smile, you and I will each ride one. Seeing that the tiger beast did not resist, Shengguan Xinyao covered her mouth and said in surprise, Sect Master, is this also your contract beast? That's right. Jun Changshao said. Shengguan Xinyao could not calm down for a long time. It was rare enough to have a wind-type beast, but she did not expect that the sect master also had a thunder-type beast. This was too unbelievable. What was that thing he threw just now? Why did he suddenly summon a contract beast? That was the gate palm ball. Even though Shengguan Xinyao was well-read, she definitely had not heard of it. Hiding in the dark, the few Shengguan family warriors who were responsible for protecting the young miss were also deeply shocked. Whoa! In the mountains, the Hurricane Wolf King galloped. Because the cultivation of the girl on its back was not high, it was easy to control its speed. Jun Changshao rode on the purple lightning tiger cub and walked in front, feeling happy. Not only did he befriend Shengguan Hong, but he also took in his granddaughter, who was extremely talented in martial arts. This could be considered an unexpected gain. Sigh. He could have ridden the Hurricane Wolf King and carried the beauty back to Ironbone, but he summoned the purple lightning tiger cub. What did that mean? That's right. Sect Master Jun was single because of his strength. The speed of their journey was not fast. It was not until dusk came that Jun Changshao and Shengguan Xinyao returned to the sect. Sect Master brought back a girl? It's pretty. Judging from her attire, she should be the daughter of a rich family. The disciples who were busy or cultivating all gathered together to discuss. Shengguan Xinyao, on the other hand, had a shy expression on her face. After all, she had always lived in the residence and rarely appeared in public. Qian. Entering the main hall, Jun Changshao sat down on a chair and instructed, these are the new disciples. You are responsible for arranging a room for them. Oh. Lu Qianqian glanced at Shengguan Xinyao and said indifferently, come with me. Thank you, senior sister. Shengguan Xinyao said politely. He couldn't help but secretly say in his heart, what a cold aura, could it be that he's an ice martial cultivator? Her aptitude was only at mortal grade and her cultivation was only at stage 10 meridian opening. However, her martial arts talent and knowledge far surpassed her peers. Southwest Yangzhou, Demon Sect Branch. The Big Helm leader, who hadn't been distracted from the Taikuan clan incident, was frowning at this moment. He had just received a handwritten letter from the Deputy Dean of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, saying that the granddaughter of the former Academy's mentor, Shengguan Hong, had joined Ironbone. This was a warning to him. The Big Helm leader held the letter and said indifferently, I didn't expect that little Ironbone would actually climb the coattails of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Big Helm leader. One of his subordinates said, what should we do? Of course, we report to the headquarters. The Big Helm leader hurriedly wrote a letter and conveyed the matter to the headquarters of the Demon Sect. A few days later. The reply was only a few words, temporarily stop targeting Ironbone. The Big Helm leader knew that the headquarters was also afraid of the Heavenly Mandate Academy, so they stopped thinking about Ironbone and focused all their attention on how to support the other branches against the Taikuan clan. Sect Master. Jiangye entered the main hall and said, I just received news that the Demon Sect branch has temporarily stopped targeting Iron Bone. Jun Changshao touched his chin and said, it seems that old Master Shengguan has already made his move. Sure enough. Whether it was on Earth or in another world. As long as someone had great power, it was easy to get things done. Comfortable. Jun Changshao lay in his chair and was in a good mood. Without the Demon Sect targeting them for the time being, there was no need to be on guard day and night. However, he had to remember this. When he and the sect had enough strength, they must give that third-rate sect a taste of their own medicine. Sect Master. Shengguan Xinyao walked into the main hall and said in surprise, this muscle-bone strengthening scripture, is it a divine-level mental cultivation method? That's right, Jun Changshao said. Hearing the confirmation from his own mouth, Shengguan Xinyao was even more shocked. Since joining Iron Bone, taking the body-shaping pill, and coming into contact with more martial arts resources, this girl with extremely high martial arts talent spent almost every moment in shock. Sect Master. Shengguan Xinyao said happily, with such a mental cultivation method, even if this disciple's martial arts aptitude is not high, I can still improve quickly. Martial arts and martial arts were two different concepts. Her spiritual root was not high, and her pursuit of martial arts was not so strong. She hoped to learn more about martial arts from the sect master. But now that she had a divine-level mental cultivation method and various martial arts resources, she could put all her thoughts on martial arts. That's right. Jun Changshao rested his chin on the back of his hand and said with a smile, after joining Iron Bone, I only have one request, and that is to continue to become stronger and stronger faster. This disciple will work hard. Shengguan Xinyao said firmly. Sect Master. At this moment Li Luocha walked in and said, the shops in the 8 cities have sent news that the feed pills have all been sold. Is that so? Jun Changshao's lips curled into a smile. Before going to the birthday celebration, he specially added 10,000 low-level beast pills to each shop. Now that they were all sold out, it meant that the effect had been recognized by the public. It was more than just recognition. It was simply going crazy. Every Iron Bone Beast material shop in each city was crowded with martial artists. Although they knew that there was no stock, they still waited. There were many families with large horse farms. One pill was equivalent to 10 days of eating, and it could also let them grow strong, increase their speed and physical strength. This was definitely a heaven-defying feed. Jun Changshao had already prepared for it. In the shortest time possible, he sent 5,000 low-level beast pills to each of the 8 beast material shops. As a result, they were all sold out on the 3rd day. Business was very good. That's too fast. After receiving the news, Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. Refining low-level beast pills was very fast. It was easy to make hundreds of thousands of pills in one night, but the key was that there was no supply of beast meat. What should I do? What should I do? Sect Master Jun was anxious. How could he not be anxious? One pill was 500 taels. If he sold 40,000 pills a day, it would be 20 million taels. This was definitely a huge profit, and it would be very troublesome if there was no stock. Should we go to the city to buy beast meat? While he was thinking, Li Qingyang came to report, Sect Master, Junior Brother Yi and the others are back. So fast? Jun Changshao was surprised. Yi Xingqian applied for a month's training outside, and it had only been 10 days. Don't mention it. Night Emperor and the others originally planned to train for a month. But the mission given by the sect master was to collect more beast meat. In the end, after 10 days of killing, their spatial rings were full. Junior brother. Xiao Ziji suggested, why don't we go back, hand in the meat and continue training? So. Yi Xingqian returned gloomily. I'm not going to train, I'm going to hunt for beast meat. Chapter 360. When Yi Xingqian and Xiao Ziji returned, they brought back a lot of beast meat. After a round of counting, there was a total of 500,000 catties. The AI family head had also sent a lot of hunger grass, which could be used to refine. Refine. Jun Changshao opened the Spirit Beast Hall and raised the number to the highest, starting to mass produce. Ding! Ding! The notifications kept ringing in his ears. In one night, 200,000 beast pills were produced. Jun Changshao ordered the members of the Drizzle Hall to send supplies to the 8 beast material stores as fast as possible, giving each of them 25,000 pills. Without the threat of the Demon Fiend Sect, he also announced that all disciples above 5th grade martial disciple would go out to train and bring back beast meat. As a result, on the stairs of the mountain gate, there were nearly 500 disciples above 5th grade martial disciple, walking in groups. The scale was not bad. Junior brother Xiao. Su Xiaoma grinned, why don't we go to Death Valley again? There are still many areas there that have not been explored. We should be able to get a lot of beast meat and crystal cores. Before that, we have to buy more space rings. Xiao Ziji said. Oh, right. Su Xiaoma scratched his head, why don't I see junior brother Yi? Yeah. Li Fei and Tian Qi were also puzzled. Hundreds of miles away from them, in the mountains and forests, Yi Xingqian had already started fighting with beasts. This guy secretly rode a hurricane wolf in the middle of the night and rushed over. The reason was that going with Xiao Ziji and the others was not called training, it was called collecting beast meat. The disciples with good strength were arranged to go out and train. There were enough materials to refine beast pills for the time being. Jun Changshao was rarely free, so he put his mind on cultivation. After returning from the Sacred Spring Sect, he went to the 10,000 Beast Mountain Range, visited the Tsang Mountain Sect, and even went to Shengguan Hong's birthday. He did not have much time to cultivate. This was not. His realm was still stuck at 2nd grade Wuzong. It was not that he did not want to cultivate, but as the head of a sect, there were too many things to deal with. Jun Changshao was quite envious of his disciples. At least they had such a dutiful and responsible sect leader to provide them with resources, allowing them to cultivate without any distractions. AI. Swallowing a 15x Qi gathering pill, he sat cross-legged in the center of the Qi gathering array and began to cultivate. However, what drove him crazy was, Shangguan Xinyao had entered the array for the umpteenth time, tirelessly asking about matters related to the Heart Sutra. Sect leader, I don't think this divine mental cultivation method is that difficult. Sect master, do you think I would be able to learn it faster if I use this method to comprehend it? Sect master, the spiritual energy here is very strong. Could it be a spiritual energy type array? Sect master, when Shangguan Xinyao practiced, she would always unconsciously consider many problems. This was the embodiment of a high talent in martial arts. However, sect leader Jun wanted to cry but had no tears. Did I take in a disciple, or a mischievous blue cat? Xinyao. In the end, Jun Changshao couldn't take it anymore and said seriously, if there's anything you don't understand, don't keep asking. Think about it independently. But Shengguan Xinyao said, I can't figure it out, so I came to ask sect master. Plop. At night, Jun Changshao lay on the bed. Just as he closed his eyes, he suddenly remembered the woman's questions during the day. His head started to hurt again. Knowledge, if you don't understand, you have to ask. Shengguan Xinyao asked for 3 days in a row, causing sect leader Jun's shoulders to droop. He looked like he had nothing to live for. The new disciples were all tortured by the old disciples until they doubted their lives. Our Shengguan Xinyao had just entered the sect, but she asked sect leader Jun so many questions that he wished he was dead. She was really valiant. Of course. Sometimes, when Shengguan Xinyao asked questions, Jun Changshao would think about them carefully and feel that they were very reasonable and had a lot of ideas. The system said, this new disciple's brain is even bigger than the host's. If you train her well, she might become a martial arts grandmaster in the future. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. When she becomes a martial arts grandmaster, the grass on my grave will be 4 to 5 meters tall. Why? He would be questioned to death. Shangwan Xinyao, who originally didn't have much talent in martial arts, relied on the 50% success rate of Yi Jing to successfully enter level 11 from level 10 meridian opening. She could have been faster, but because she always wanted to get to the bottom of things during cultivation, she delayed a lot of time. As for the disciples who had entered the sect earlier, they were also steadily increasing their cultivation with various resources. After a period of time, when 500 disciples broke through to level 12 meridian opening, they would be able to upgrade the sect's grade. Jun Changshao didn't think about this matter and continued to cultivate. Although he had a 10 times spirit gathering formation and a high multiplier spirit gathering pill, he estimated that it would still take 2 to 3 months to enter level 3 from level 2. The higher the grade, the slower the cultivation. Therefore, sect leader Jun wasn't in a hurry and cultivated slowly. Elder Jiang focused all his attention on the training tower and was intoxicated. What made him collapse was that he had already adapted to the gravity, so why couldn't he break the first level's record? It was normal. Even if he broke it, he wouldn't admit it. Because the training tower's record had to be broken by the disciples continuously, he was excluded from it just like sect leader Jun. Of course. During this period of training, Jiang Ye's cultivation level didn't increase, but his strength and physical body had increased significantly. The number on the testing machine had reached 2 million. This was equivalent to an extreme-level martial king. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Seeing his strength break through 2 million for the first time, Jiang Ye couldn't hide the shock in his eyes. The grade of one's spirit root determined one's level. He had cultivated in the iron bone for more than a month and forcefully entered the extreme level from high level. Who would believe it? With such martial resources, I can definitely enter Wu Huang. Jiang Ye clenched his fists and said. He wanted to become Wu Huang, not to enjoy the increase in strength, but to reach that level and be able to fly. At that time, he wouldn't need to rely on others and could look for his sister all over the world. Looking for his only family was Jiang Ye's motivation to become stronger. Even if the surrender order disappeared soon, he would willingly stay in the iron bone. Elder Jiang. In the cafeteria, Lu Wancher said, "Your fried rice is ready." After taking a deep breath, Jiang Ye couldn't help but say, "It smells so good." Thinking of how unyielding he had been in the prison not long ago, and how his mentality had changed in less than 2 months, it could really be described with this word. Of course. Most of the Iron Bone disciples had motivation to become stronger. For example, Li Qingyang. He wanted to become strong, then travel to the ends of the world to find the woman who left him. He wanted to loudly tell the world that only he, Li Qingyang, was worthy of Li Qingyang, and there was no such thing as you being worthy of Li Qingyang. For example, Xiao Ziji. He wanted to become strong and go to the Lily Holy Sect 2 years later to take back what he had lost. For example, Yi Xingchen. Not only did he want to return to his former peak, but he also wanted to reach a higher level and pull down the #1 empress in history from her throne. And Lu Qianqian. Forget it, it was difficult to completely deduce from the limited information at present. In short, these disciples all had their own stories. As the sect leader, Jun Changshao had to make them stronger, so the pressure was still great. Chapter 361. During this period of time, what was the most popular business in the 8 cities of Azure Sun County? That's right, the Iron Bone Beast Material Store. It could be said that there were already cultivators lining up at the entrance at dawn, waiting to buy feed pills. Patriarch. In the medicinal ingredient store in Huyang City, Ai Shanka said, "The business of sect leader Jun's beast materials store is really booming. The effect of the feed pills can be compared to the healing pills. It's normal for the sales to be so good." Ai Shanka said without any surprise. However, he paused and said, "These pills can last for 10 days and will soon be full." As expected. As the various clans bought enough feed pills, the business of the beast material store gradually returned to normal. In the past few days, Li Luoqiu had done some statistics. The 8 stores sold around 20,000 feed pills a day and had a turnover of 10 million taels. 400,000 taels of cost price and 10 million taels of profit. Jun Changshao was very satisfied. He didn't expect to sell over 100 million taels a day. After all, if he earned more money, he wouldn't have to cultivate and would just refine basic beast pills. The money was enough for the sect's daily expenses and could be saved up. Currently, it was more important to increase his strength. Hall Master Li Jun Changshao asked, "How's the training of the Wolf Rider Hall?" Li Luoqiu said, "After this period of training, the disciples can already control the hurricane wolves." Jun Changshao nodded with satisfaction. Establishing the Wolf Rider Regiment and the Wolf Rider Hall was also to prepare for the future. What kind of preparation? For example, if the disciples met with trouble outside, they could help in time. For example, if the war spread to here, they could be used as a cavalry regiment to protect Azure Sun City. If these hurricane wolves that were bigger than horses appeared on the battlefield, they would definitely be terrifying. Li Luoqiu, who was about to leave, suddenly frowned. "What's wrong?" Jun Changshao asked. After a while, Li Luoqiu said, "I just received a message from the spies in the city. Xiao Ziji and the other disciples are outside Death Valley and have a conflict with the 100 Sect Alliance." Death Valley was very far from the city, so how did the spies know? It was very simple. The members of the Drizzle Hall were scattered all over the Azure Sun County. The information obtained from those closest to Death Valley would be transmitted to the nearest city through telepathy. Then, it would be passed on by others until it was finally delivered to Ironbone. It was like a relay, passing it down layer by layer. When the news spread, Xiao Ziji and the rest had only clashed with the 100 Sect Alliance for a few minutes. This was the power of the sound transmission technique. When the Drizzle Hall continued to expand and extend outwards, if there was any news in the future, they would definitely send it over immediately. Fuck. Jun Changshao slapped the armrest and said, "Is the 100 Sect Alliance itching for a beating? How dare they jump out?" According to the intelligence, some sects in Huayang County also had conflicts with Xiao Ziji. The situation is not good. Li Luoqiu said. "Gather the members of the Wolf Rider Hall and send them to help as soon as possible," Jun Changshao ordered. Yes. Li Luoqiu hurriedly retreated. Awo! Awo! Soon, under the stairs of the gate, 500 carefully selected and carefully trained disciples rode on hurricane wolves toward Death Valley as fast as a gust of wind. Of course. Sect Master Jun also went. His Hurricane Wolf King was one step faster than the disciples. After returning from the Sacred Springs sect, the 100 Sect Alliance had been forcefully turned invisible. Jun Changshao could not be bothered with them. But when Qin Haoran jumped out during the birthday celebration, he realized that this guy and his organization had to be taught a lesson. Oh my god! What was that running through the forest just now? It looked like a group of beasts. Their speed is too fast. A group of rogue cultivators who were looking for beasts in the wilderness were all dumbfounded. They even suspected that their eyes were playing tricks on them. It would take at least 2 to 3 days to travel from Ironbone to Death Valley. But Jun Changshao, who was riding on the Hurricane Wolf King, only took 10 minutes to arrive. Low-grade beast cores were also a part of the reason why they could run so fast. 15 minutes ago. Outside Death Valley. Led by Xiao Zuiji and Su Xiaoma, there were a total of 30 disciples of the Ironbone sect. They gathered in an open space and were surrounded by more than 300 people. There were more than 500 disciples who went down the mountain to get beast meat, but most of them were scattered in the forests of Azure Sun County. Humph, a middle-aged man said coldly, "My people from Huayang County were hunting beasts, but your Ironbone came to cause trouble. Do you still have the morals of the pugilistic world?" This person was an elder of the Wind and Rain Pavilion, one of the 6 forces in Huayang County. Beside him, there were several higher-ups of other forces. From their auras, they were all from the evil sects. Bullshit. Su Xiaoma said, "Your disciples were about to be eaten by the ferocious beasts in the valley. We rushed over in time to kill them and save their lives." How is that a troublemaker? The situation was like this. Xiao Ziji and the others entered Death Valley and relied on their cultivation to hunt beasts without any worries. Later, they accidentally entered a gourd and saw more than 20 martial cultivators being attacked by a group of beasts, so they went to save them. Of course, they weren't just doing a good deed. Because those martial cultivators were only being attacked and weren't in a passive position. Xiao Ziji and the others took the initiative to kill the beasts and took the beast meat and crystal cores. The martial cultivators who were saved weren't happy. How could they take the prey that they had set their eyes on, so they thought that they were here to cause trouble. In Huayang County, there were 4 evil sects that came to train together. After knowing this, they naturally wouldn't compromise, so they surrounded them after they left Death Valley. What was going on with the 100 Sect Alliance? It was a coincidence. The other forces in the alliance also brought their disciples to train today. When they saw Iron Bone being surrounded by the forces of Huayang County, they went over to watch the show. Su Xiaomao thought that they were ganging up to bully them, so he hurriedly used his sound transmission technique to communicate with the nearest intelligence station and sent the news to Iron Bone. These 4 evil sects, 2 of them are 7th rate and 2 of them are 6th rate. Iron Bone's disciples are in big trouble this time. 2 of the elders from those sects have reached Wuzong County, and they have more than 300 disciples. Bullying them will be a piece of cake. Being bullied by the evil sects is a small matter, but I'm afraid they will remember it. Coming to Death Valley for training, I didn't expect to see Iron Bone make a fool of themselves. What an unexpected gain. The leaders of the sects in the alliance discussed softly with smiles on their faces. If they also had the sound transmission technique, they would have immediately sent it to Qin Haran and the others, so that they could come and watch the show. Don't talk so much nonsense. One of the evil sect elders said coldly, hand over what you just took and what you got in the valley. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving here alive. Su Xiaomao said lightly, to put it bluntly, aren't you just trying to rob us? Kakik. That elder laughed weirdly and said, you have a problem with that? He had heard about Iron Bone, but he didn't take it to heart. Wasn't it just defeating the Sacred Spring sect? What was so great about that? Pooey. Su Xiaomao spat out a mouthful of saliva and said, stealing from Iron Bone, let's see if you have the ability. Ability? That elder's gaze turned cold, and he quickly appeared in front of them like a ghost. Hoo-hoo. With a wave of his hand, the blood-red attribute condensed into a solid fist, and it carried an evil force as it punched forward. He made his move. There was a good show to watch. The 100 Sect Alliance martial artists were instantly excited. Rumble. Just at this moment, a loud sound was heard. Hoo-hoo, the wind howled, blowing the surrounding leaves and grass into the air. However, the 100 Sect Alliance martial artists who were gloating over Iron Bone's misfortune gradually froze. Chapter 362. The martial artist who attacked was an elder from the Blood Flame sect. Although he had just entered the first grade Wuzong, he was still considered a high-level martial artist. The strength of the condensed fists was at least 200,000 jin. The 100 Sect Alliance martial artists who were watching the show were certain that the talkative Iron Bone disciple was in for it. When he was outside, couldn't he be more low profile? Why did he have to act so tough in front of the evil sects? Wasn't he courting death? However, after the explosion, the people from the 100 Sect Alliance could no longer laugh. This was because Xiao Ziji stood in front of Su Xiaomao and used his physical body to withstand the attack from the Blood Flame sect elder. He was fine and stood upright. Everyone's mouth twitched. How strong must his physical body be to be able to withstand 200,000 jin of force? The Blood Flame sect elder was astonished as he laughed sinisterly, "Kid, you're quite resilient." Hoo-hoo. Blood and fire attributes appeared around his body again. The Blood Flame sect disciples mainly cultivated the Blood Flame art, which was a high-grade evil technique. This evil technique could allow martial artists to increase their cultivation and strength at a faster rate. However, it had a fatal flaw, which was that it had to be exchanged with one's lifespan. Hoo-hoo! The aura of the blood flame spread out and condensed into 4 fists, emitting a strong force. But the elder said coldly, no matter how resilient you are, you're just a punching bag. Hoo-hoo! 4 powerful fists fiercely smashed down with great force. Bang! 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 Explosions rang out continuously, bringing with it an even stronger gust of wind, causing the 100 Sect Alliance martial artists to tremble. With such a terrifying attack, even if the Iron Bone disciple didn't die, he would be severely injured. However, when they looked at the area of impact and saw that Xiao Ziji was still standing in his original position, they were all petrified. Every fist contained 200,000 gene of force, and there were 4 attacks. Even if you could withstand it, you should at least take 2 steps back. Very weak, Xiao Ziji said indifferently. With the soft silk armor and his strong physical body, it was easy for him to withstand the attacks from the evil sect elders. To be honest, the Blood Flame Sect's elder was only slightly stronger than Xiao Ziji. In terms of physique and equipment, the difference between the two was like heaven and earth. If it wasn't for the fact that the other party had too many people, they wouldn't even need to inform the sect. The 30 of them would have been more than enough to deal with them. The evil sect elder's expression was extremely ugly. He had attacked twice in a row, yet he had not been able to shake a martial master. This was too embarrassing. Who? Just at this moment, Xiao Ziji strode forward and punched out with his right fist. Just as the elder had said, no matter how resistant he would only be a punching bag. Therefore, what he had to do was to return the favor. The punch was fast and sudden. Even though the heretical elders had caught it immediately, it was difficult for them to avoid it. Moreover, he did not intend to dodge. Instead, his right fist erupted with an evil aura as he chose to meet the attack head-on. Boom! Their fists collided head-on, and an explosive sound rang out. Whoosh whoosh! The energy instantly wreaked havoc in the surroundings. The feeling of power that was being emitted made people tremble in fear. Thud thud! After the exchange of blows, the heretical elder took 2 steps back. Xiao Ziji was still standing on the same spot as a rock. Everyone's mouth twitched. This Iron Bone disciple's body was really tough. Swoosh! Su Xiaomai used the cloud-treading steps to circle around. Without saying a word, he leaped into the air and kicked out with his right leg. Boom! This kick landed squarely on the head of the heretical elder, sending him flying and crashing into a tree. The martial artists of the 100 Sect Alliance were all dumbfounded. That was a martial ancestor. How could he have sent him flying with a kick so easily? Elder! The disciples of the Blood Flame Sect exclaimed. The elder who was lying on the ground held his head in pain and shouted furiously, "Kill all of them!" Yes! The disciples obeyed the order and activated the Blood Flame art. An aura that was like blood and fire erupted. The heretical disciples on the other side also unleashed their cultivation. Clang clang! The 30 disciples of the Iron Bone took out their cold-edged sword or overlord spear. Since sect leader Jun sent them out to train, he definitely wouldn't be empty-handed. Therefore, they were naturally equipped with weapons and equipment. Although there was a huge difference in numbers, the disciples of the Iron Bone sect would never back down. This was because the sect's motto was "Fight if you're unhappy." It's here, it's here. The show is finally about to start. 30 against 300. No matter how strong the Iron Bone sect is, they will definitely be beaten to a pulp. The martial artists of the 100 Sect Alliance laughed at the misfortune of the Iron Bone Sect Alliance. At this moment, any sect in the Azure Sun County that had the slightest bit of courage would definitely step forward to help when they saw the other county's factions ganging up on their own people. However, these factions from the same county chose to watch from the sidelines. This was truly disappointing. Go! Kill! More than 60 disciples of the Blood Flame Sect took out their weapons and charged over while being enveloped by an evil aura. Boom! Boom! Xiao Zuiji stepped forward and waved his fists, sending the two evil sect martial artists flying in an instant. On the other side, Su Xiaoma and Li Fei used their swift and fierce footwork to send all the enemies flying. This scene was very similar to a movie where a martial arts expert was surrounded by countless men in black. Then, they would use all sorts of front, side, and back kicks. Tian Qi wasn't as flashy as the other two. He held the cold-edged sword in his hand and killed whoever attacked him without any mercy. Mercy was for good people. For these heretical cultivators, it was to kill to stop them from killing. Pft. Pft. The rest of the Iron Bone sect disciples also started to fight with the enemies. Many of them had never experienced such a battle before. However, when they saw their senior brother's ferocious performance, they also displayed the results of their cultivation in the sect and started to kill crazily. In just a short moment, more than 20 of the Blood Flame sect's disciples had died. The Blood Flame sect's elder who had just stood up from the ground had a monstrous killing intent in his eyes. He immediately summoned his saber and charged forward. At the same time, the other three heretical sects in Huayang County couldn't sit still either. They also unleashed their cultivation and charged forward. At this time, they could already see that the Iron Bone sect disciples were not of high ranks, but their weapons and strength were very strong. They had to quickly finish them off with an overwhelming force. What trouble? They were all fucking excuses. They just wanted to rob them. Bang! 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 In the open area, hundreds of heretical cultivators rushed over from all directions like a tidal wave. Although the situation was very unfavorable to them, the Iron Bone sect disciples huddled together and fought against them without any panic. The four heretical cultivators tightened their encirclement, but their opponents were too strong and couldn't break through. Swoosh! Swoosh! At this time, the heretical cultivators flicked their sleeves and shot out streaks of black light. These people did not know how to fight in a proper manner. If they wanted to kill someone, they would naturally resort to all kinds of methods. Ding! 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 The Iron Bone sect disciples standing in the front row didn't back down. They summoned their iron shields and blocked all the hidden weapons. Die! Su Xiaoma dashed out quickly. The cold-edged sword in his hand shone with a cold light. He instantly slashed out a sword radiance and took the heads of the four heretical cultivators. Whoosh! After he succeeded, a whistling sound came from the side. The heretical elder was charging at him furiously with his saber. Chapter 363. Be careful. Xiao Zuiji rushed over with large strides. He immediately took out his iron shield and stood in front of Su Xiaoma, blocking the powerful saber strike. Bang! The force was strong, but it did not shake the shield at all. The Blood Flame sect's elder widened his eyes. That guy's shield looked very ordinary, but it could actually block his mid-tier weapon. Iron Bone Shadowless Kick. Li Fei appeared behind the Blood Flame sect's elder, leaving behind numerous footprints as he ruthlessly kicked the elder's back. Xiao, at this moment, the Wind Rain Pavilion's elder, who was standing far away, condensed a dark force in his hand and shot it over like a cannonball. Bang! Li Fei was hit and flew out. After landing, he staggered back and his face became slightly ferocious. Luckily, he was wearing the soft silk armor, which dissipated part of the force. Otherwise, he would have been injured. Two people on one. Su Xiaoma shouted. Okay. Xiao Ziji and him locked onto the Blood Flame sect's elder. Li Fei and Tian Qi locked onto the other evil sect elder. The two Wuzong disciples were the most threatening. As long as they kept them busy, their fellow disciples could safely deal with the evil sect's trash disciples. That's right. They were indeed trash disciples. Because their strength was mostly between 3rd and 5th grade martial disciple. Although the Iron Bone disciples' level was not high, they were superior in all aspects. Looking at the current situation. Not to mention 1 against 2, 1 against 3 to 5 would not be a problem. Even more valiant was that they were equipped with soft silk armor. One of the Iron Bone disciples was attacked consecutively and even slashed on his body. However, he was still able to fight back and safely retreat to the defensive line. Although they were all bronze level, they had 6 godly equipment at the start. How could they fight against them? They could not win against them, not in this lifetime. The 4 evil sect disciples could only rely on their numbers to gain a little advantage. Therefore, the current situation was: the Iron Bone disciples relied on their equipment to form a group. Although they were tightly surrounded, their opponents could not break through. If they were not careful, they would be killed. The 2 Wuzong elders were in for a tragedy. With their strength, they could barely hold their ground against an Iron Bone inner sect disciple. Facing 2 disciples, it would definitely be very strenuous. Especially when Xiao Ziji and Su Xiaoma joined forces. One could resist while the other was fast. Instantly, the Blood Flame Sect Elder was beaten to a sorry state. Facing Li Fei and Tian Qi's battle, the Stormwind Pavilion Elder was also having a hard time. Moreover, the more he fought, the more apprehensive he became. If he didn't look at his cultivation level, he even had the illusion that he was fighting Wuzong. Boom! Boom! In the battle zone, the 6 people were still fighting fiercely. The 100 Sect Alliance martial artists who were gloating were dumbfounded. As far as they knew, although the disciples of Iron Bone were very strong, it was unbelievable that they could compete with Wuzong. Whoa! As the battle raged on, the sound of wolves howling could be heard from afar. Everyone turned their heads to look and saw something that looked like a whirlwind rushing towards them. Yes, sect leader. The Iron Bone inner sect disciple who was defending was overjoyed. After Su Xiaoma forced the elder to retreat, he said indifferently, "Old man, it's time for you to die." Arrogant. The Blood Flame Sect elder sneered. Whoosh as he spoke, he gripped the hilt of his saber with both hands. A blood-red aura spread out like a ball of scorching flames, enveloping the entire saber. He was too passive. He had to use his trump card to kill one of them. Whoosh, however, just as he was accumulating energy, the whirlwind rushed over and stopped in front of him. Swoosh! A green saber radiance shot out. As it was powerful enough, it instantly stirred up a gust of wind. Not good! The Blood Flame Sect elder exclaimed. At that moment, a strong premonition of death rose in his heart. He wanted to dodge and escape, but it was too late. The green radiance was unreasonable and ruthless as it tore towards him. Pucci, the saber radiance flashed and disappeared into thin air. The whole process happened in a flash. The martial artists who were watching the show did not catch it at all. When everything calmed down, the Blood Flame Sect elder's head flew out and landed on the grass. His eyes were wide open with fear and shock. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What is going on? Why did the head of the evil faction elder fly out for no reason? At that moment, the whirlwind gradually weakened. A tall wolf beast appeared in front of the Blood Flame Sect elder's headless body. There was a person sitting on the wolf's back. That person had sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. He was extraordinarily handsome. His eyes were cold and sharp, and he held a seemingly heavy green saber in his hand. This is the sect leader of Iron Bone Sect, Jun Changshao. The Stormy Pavilion Elder, who was fighting with Li Fei and Tian Qi, saw the Blood Flame Sect Elder being killed. He instantly felt a chill down his spine and his scalp numb. Wuzong, who was similar in strength to him, was killed with a single slash. The strength of the person who appeared was absolutely terrifying. Shua! Jun Changshao raised his green dragon crescent blade and said coldly, "I will count to 5. Run as fast as you can. As for whether you can return alive, it will depend on your luck." These words. Very arrogant and very strong. The Stormy Pavilion Elder swallowed a mouthful of saliva. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. He believed that this young man was definitely not joking with him, nor was he acting cool. 1. Jun Changshao shouted. His voice was cold and his eyes were emotionless. Shwa! The stormy pavilion elder ran at full speed and instantly entered the forest. He did not even care about his own disciples. Not only was he afraid of this iron-boned sect leader, he was also afraid of the wolf beast he was riding. Because that was definitely a hurricane wolf king. Just its strength alone was comparable to 9th stage Wuzong. 2, 3, 4, 5. Ho! The hurricane wolf king raised its head and roared. Its 4 limbs moved and instantly turned into a gust of wind, chasing after the elder. Of the 2 Wuzong, 1 died and the other escaped. The disciples of the 4 great evil sects immediately lost their will to fight and wanted to escape. However, before they could even take a step, they saw Jun Changshao, who had just left, returning on his hurricane wolf king. He raised his green dragon crescent blade and on the blade was a head with a shocked gaze. Elder! The stormy pavilion disciples cried out in grief. The 100 Sect Alliance cultivators who were watching the show were all shocked. Killing Wuzong was like cutting grass. This iron-boned sect leader was too scary. Awo! Awo! Just at this moment, waves of wolf howls could be heard from behind. Shwa! Shwa! 500 Wolf Rider Hall members rode on their hurricane wolves and charged out from the depths of the forest like a wave. In an instant, the 300 over evil sect disciples who wanted to escape were surrounded. The hurricane wolves under them lowered their heads and their eyes flashed with a fierce light. Not only did the 100 Sect Alliance cultivators widen their eyes, they were also filled with shock. From their special uniforms, they could tell that they were iron-boned disciples. But why were they all riding on hurricane wolves? No! These were hurricane wolves that were even taller. Clang! Jun Changshao stabbed his green dragon crescent blade into the ground and the elder's head rolled down. He said in a low voice, "Kill them all." Yes! The Wolf Rider Hall members rode on their hurricane wolves and took out their overlord spears. The 300 evil sect disciples who were surrounded had fear and despair in their eyes. They didn't have any hope of surviving because the wolf beasts that the iron-boned sect disciples were riding were much stronger than them from their auras. Yes. They were much stronger than them. Therefore, what awaited them was a merciless slaughter. Poochie! Poochie! The sound of blades piercing through bodies could be heard and the smell of blood filled the air. In a short period of time, the corpses of the 4 evil sect disciples were all on the ground. Their blood formed a river and the scene was as terrifying as a slaughterhouse. Chapter 364. A total of over 300 evil sect disciples were all dead on the ground. The pungent smell of blood permeated the air, causing the faces of the 100 Sect Alliance martial artists to change. Too terrifying. Too terrifying. Everyone was shocked, a chill ran down their spines. At first, they thought that against so many evil sect martial artists, the 30 over iron bone disciples would definitely be wiped out. But not only did they survive, they even killed many of them. This was already unbelievable, but Iron Bone even sent reinforcements. So be it, they even rode on hurricane wolves, the shock was even greater. Anyway, they did not see it as a joke. No matter, it did not matter. After killing so many people, the 4 evil sects would definitely not let this matter rest. When they received the news, they would definitely bring people to kill Iron Bone, and there would be a good show to watch. Jun Changshao asked, "Xiao Mu, are any of your disciples injured?" "No." Su Xiaomo replied. Jun Changshao turned to look at the 100 Sect Alliance martial artists, and asked, "Did they participate as well?" "No." Su Xiaomo replied, "Just watch the show." The 100 Sect Alliance members really had to thank Su Xiaomo. Because if they did, what awaited them would be the same as the evil sect disciples, being wiped out. Surround them. Jun Changshao said indifferently. Yes. Shwa. Shwa. 500 Wolf Rider Hall members quickly surrounded the 100 Sect Alliance members, the hurricane wolves still emitting a ferocious gaze. June. Sect leader June, a sect elder said in fear, "We are just passing by." They were really passing by. But it was also true that they were gloating. June Changshao naturally knew why they were standing so far away, and said indifferently, "I opened this road, I planted this tree, if you want to pass by, you have to pay the toll." He would not kill the 100 Sect Alliance members, after all, he did not participate, he just wanted to watch a joke. But they had to pay to watch the show. The 100 Sect Alliance martial artists' mouths twitched. They wanted to act tough. But when they saw the ferocious hurricane wolves, and the scene of the evil sect disciples being killed, they all compromised and paid the toll. As the 100 Sect Alliance members handed over their rings, Xiao Ziji and the rest began to collect the items on the corpses. After a while, 500 to 600 spatial rings were all in June Changxiao's pocket. He looked at the sect leader of a 7th-rate sect, and coldly asked, "Sect that bullied my Iron Bones sect, that sect leader's mouth big brother, judging from the current situation, they are the ones being bullied. Answer this lord." June Changxiao as he spoke, his body SSSSS, killings SS sects SSS, SSSSS sect, S, lightning palaces, thunder lightning. Riding on the Hurricane Wolf King, June Changxiao turned around and said coldly, "Disciples, follow me to Huayang County. We will seek justice from these 4 sects." Lord, his loud and clear voice resounded throughout the wilderness. A whoa! Howl! The hurricane wolves carried the Iron Bone sect disciples as they galloped towards Huayang County. After they left, the elders and members of the 100 Sect Alliance all looked at each other in disbelief. That guy actually brought people to Huayang County to seek justice from the 4 sects? Sect leader Song, I hear wrongly? You didn't hear wrongly. He offended the evil sects, and he still wants to seek justice from them. Are you sure he's not sending himself to death? This is a boorish man. The 100 Sect Alliance martial artists discussed softly with smiles on their faces, completely forgetting that they had just been robbed. Why did June Changxiao bring his disciples to Huayang County to seek justice from the 4 evil sects? Just as the 100 Sect Alliance thought, if these sects knew that they had killed their disciples, they would definitely not let this matter rest. With Iron Bone's current strength, they were not afraid of any 6th-rate sect. However, it was easy to dodge a spear in the open, but hard to defend against an arrow in the dark. If these evil sects were to play dirty in the dark, it would definitely be troublesome. Since they had already offended them, why not be more reckless? Sect leader Xiao Ziji rode on the Hurricane Wolf and caught up from behind. I'm afraid that we will not only face the 4 evil sects, but also many other sects in Huayang County. Destroying the Black Eagles sect was done secretly. This time, riding on the Hurricane Wolves and bringing along over 500 disciples, it was a huge commotion. Once they entered Huayang County, they would definitely alert the other sections. Those who dare to go against Iron Bone. June Changxiao said coldly, kill without mercy, domineering. The disciples following behind felt their blood boiling. Actually, June Changxiao said that he was going to seek justice in Huayang County, but more importantly, he wanted to tell the world that they could offend anyone but Iron Bone. Once a sect had enough strength, they would need to establish their prestige. Those 4 sects were no doubt the chickens that were killed to warn the monkeys. Huayang County, in a forest that was gloomy all year round. Although it was not a place with good feng shui, there was a huge building made of stones. At first glance, it looked like an ancient castle that was located deep in the forest, isolated from the rest of the world. This was the headquarters of the Thunder Palace. Behind the castle-like building, there was a huge training field where thousands of warriors were cultivating. Deputy Palace Leader. In the main hall, the Thunder Palace leader sat on the main seat. He rubbed his brows and said, "My left eyelid has been twitching for the past few days." The Deputy Palace leader smiled, as the saying goes, when the left eyelid twitches, fortune comes, and when the right eyelid twitches, disaster comes. The palace leader will definitely have fortune. I hope so. The Thunder Palace leader smiled. "Oh right," he said, "the disciples who went to Death Valley should be back soon, right?" The deputy palace leader said, "Soon." Palace leader. At this moment, a disciple ran in anxiously and pointed outside. Someone came to my Thunder Palace to seek justice." "Seek justice?" The two of them looked at each other, stunned. The Thunder Palace leader rubbed his brows again and said, "My left eyelid is twitching even more." The deputy palace leader smiled. "Palace leader, this might be fortune." "Is that so?" The Thunder Palace leader stood up and smiled. "Then I would like to see what fortune it is." Palace leader. The subordinate's voice trembled. There are quite a lot of people here, quite a lot." The Thunder Palace leader smiled faintly and walked out of the main hall. He stood on the protruding balcony and looked towards the door. His expression froze. In his field of vision, there were about 500 warriors. To be honest, there were not many of them. After all, just the headquarters of the Thunder Palace alone had 4,000 to 5,000 disciples. What shocked the Thunder Palace leader was that these warriors were all riding on tall and mighty wolf beasts. The deputy palace leader also walked out. When he saw the scene in his field of vision, his eyes instantly widened. "Palace leader," he said in disbelief, "these are hurricane wolves." As he spoke, his gaze locked onto the taller and mightier wolf beast at the front of the pack. He exclaimed, "Hurricane Wolf King." Chapter 365. Jun Changshao brought more than 500 disciples and arrived at the Thunder Palace in the shortest time possible. This was the first stop to seek justice. However, the Thunder Palace Lord and Deputy Palace Lord were so shocked that their eyeballs were about to pop out. A group of martial practitioners riding on high-level wolf beasts, and there was even a wolf king among them, standing in front of their door. This scene was absolutely shocking. The other party rode on wolf beasts. Could they be from some big sect? This was what the Thunder Palace Lord thought. Jun Changshao raised his head and looked at the balcony of the castle. He said indifferently, "The two of you should be the higher-ups of the Thunder Palace, right?" The Thunder Palace Lord asked, "Who are you?" Not only did he not answer, he even asked a question. This person had no manners at all. Jun Changshao said indifferently, "The Sect Master of the Iron Bone Clan." "The Sect Master of the Iron Bone Clan?" The Thunder Palace Lord said in surprise, "You are Jun Changshao." Indeed, after defeating the Holy Springs sect, Sect Master Jun still had a certain level of fame. "That's right," Jun Changshao said indifferently. "Sect Master Jun," the Thunder Palace Lord said, "our two sects have nothing to do with each other. What brings you here today?" "To seek justice," Jun Changshao said. The Thunder Palace Lord's mouth twitched. He said, "What justice?" Jun Changshao said, "My sect's disciples saved your sect's disciples out of kindness in Death Valley. Instead of being grateful, they joined forces with the other three sects to rob them. Where is the justice? Where is the justice?" If there were other martial practitioners present, they would definitely break down. Talking about justice and justice with the evil sects was definitely hilarious. "There's such a thing." The Thunder Palace Lord pondered for a moment and said, "When they return, I will ask for the reason. I will definitely give Sect Master Jun an explanation." If not for the fact that the other party was riding a high-level beast, with his character, he would definitely laugh weirdly and say, "Coming to my evil sect to seek justice, aren't you tired of living? There's no need to wait." Jun Changshao said indifferently, "Those disciples of yours who robbed my disciples are all dead." "What?" The Thunder Palace Lord's expression changed. The Vice Palace Master asked in a deep voice, "Sect Master Jun killed him?" Jun Changshao nodded and said, "Those who bully my Iron Bone Jing faction will only end up dead. Even Jesus can't save him." The Thunder Palace Lord's expression turned even uglier as he said, "Sect Master Jun, since you've already killed him, you're still coming to my Thunder Palace to seek justice. That's a little too much." "Too much?" Jun Changshao smiled and waved his hand. Shwa! Xiao Ziji jumped down from the Hurricane Wolf and stopped in front of the tightly shut door of the Thunder Palace. Then, he raised his fist and punched it. Bang! Due to the powerful impact, the door, which had been there for many years, was smashed into pieces. This was even more excessive. Jun Changshao. The Thunder Palace's palace master was enraged. What do you mean by that? The deputy palace master was also furious. After all, that door represented the dignity of the Thunderbolt Palace. Now that it had been shattered, it was a blatant blasphemy. Smash the place, Jun Changshao said. Awo! Awo! The Hurricane Wolves howled and dragged the Iron Bone disciples into the Thunder Palace like a flood. When they destroyed the Black Eagle squad, they weren't very strong and didn't bring many disciples. Therefore, they chose to play it safe and hid in the dark to ambush others. Now, it was different from the past. Not only were the disciples strong, but there were also many of them. Just the 500 Hurricane Wolves alone had terrifying combat power. Therefore, if they came to smash the place, they would directly start fighting. The wolf beasts carrying the martial artists should have entered this forest. This is the Thunder Palace's territory. Are they going to attack the Sixth Way Evil Sect? Outside the forest, many martial artists from Huayang County gathered. Jun Changshao came to seek justice and didn't deliberately take the remote mountain path. Therefore, they were alerted on the way. There were quite a lot of people, about 700 of them. If they didn't stop to ask for the location of the Thunder Palace, with the speed of the Hurricane Wolves, these martial artists wouldn't be able to see them. They would only see gusts of wind. It's better not to go. A martial artist said timidly, if we're discovered by the martial artists of the Thunder Palace and enter their territory without permission, we'll definitely die. What's there to be afraid of? A courageous martial artist said, with so many of us going in, the Thunder Palace might not dare to make things difficult for us. While they were discussing, there were already quite a number of courageous martial artists who entered the forest. The group of martial artists riding the wolf beasts were filled with killing intent. If they were really going to attack the Thunder Palace, they would probably have already started fighting. The scene would definitely be exciting. They had to go and take a look. Not long after, the crowd arrived at the headquarters of the Thunder Palace. When they saw the dense footprints of ferocious beasts, they were even more certain that the martial artists riding the wolf beasts were here to target the Thunder Palace. Look! Someone exclaimed, the main door of the Thunder Palace has been shattered. The crowd hurriedly retracted their gazes and looked straight ahead. They saw the main door of the Thunder Palace open and two broken doors scattered around. Many martial artists were stunned. The main door that represented the face of the sect had been shattered. The other party was really aggressive. Let's go. Let's go and take a look. Many martial artists gathered their courage and rushed into the headquarters of the Thunder Palace. They followed the footprints of the wolf beasts all the way to the training grounds. Soon, they saw corpses lined up along the way. From the wounds and the way they died, it was obvious that they were killed instantly by a sharp blade that pierced through their chests. They are all disciples of the Thunder Palace. Their strength is at least at the level of a 3rd or 4th grade martial disciple. They were actually killed instantly. Could it be that this was done by the group of martial artists riding the wolf beasts? Riding on ferocious beasts, their strength must be extraordinary. The Thunder Palace has offended someone. The crowd discussed as they walked in. Corpses were lined up on both sides of the road. Seeing the evil sect disciples who were usually arrogant and despotic died tragically, many martial artists felt a little satisfied. Hiss! When they arrived at the training grounds, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. In that huge area, there were at least 1,000 corpses of the Thunder Palace disciples. This situation, the first thought that appeared in the crowd's mind was that the sect had been annihilated. Someone squinted his eyes and looked at the martial artist kneeling in the middle of the area. He said with a trembling voice, Thunder Palace's Palace Lord. Oh my God! The crowd instantly widened their eyes. Although the distance was a little far, from the way he was kneeling with his head lowered, it was obvious that he was already dead. Someone exclaimed, "There's a deputy palace lord beside him." At that moment, they confirmed their first thought of being angry. The Thunder Palace's palace lord and deputy palace lord, as well as many higher-ups with decent cultivation, had all died in the training grounds. This meant that this 6th-grade sect had been eliminated from the pugilistic world. It had always been an evil sect that would annihilate whoever it disliked. But today, it was suddenly annihilated. This was definitely shocking to the martial artists present. Was it that group of martial artists riding on ferocious beasts? What kind of deep hatred did they have for them to go to the extent of annihilating a sect? The crowd gathered their courage and walked over. Not only was the Thunder Palace's palace lord kneeling on the ground, there was also a deep cut on his chest. Obviously, this was a fatal wound. A 6th or 7th grade Wuzong was killed just like that. The crowd was once again deeply shocked. Of course. There was also a little satisfaction. After all, the Thunder Palace was an evil sect that had committed all kinds of evil. Now that it was annihilated, to the people of Huayang County, it was a joyous occasion worthy of setting off fireworks. "Look!" someone exclaimed, "there are words on the ground." The crowd looked at the only empty stone slab in front of them. It was written in fresh blood, "Those who offend my Iron Bone clan will be killed no matter how far away they are." Iron Bone clan? Could it be that it was done by the sect from Qingyang County that defeated the 5th-grade Holy Springs sect not long ago? They came to Huayang County to annihilate an evil sect and even left bloody words openly. Did this mean that they wanted to intimidate others? Chapter 366. Exterminating the Thunder Palace and leaving behind a sentence. This operation was really cool. Those who offend my Iron Bone sect will be killed no matter how far away they are. It was even more awesome and powerful to the extreme. The Thunder Palace has been destroyed. This is big news. Once it gets out, it will definitely cause a huge sensation. Iron Bone dared to so openly destroy a 6th-rate sect in Huayang County. The other forces will definitely not let them leave unscathed. They were very happy that the evil Thunder Palace had been destroyed. However, it was still a county after all. It was a bit inappropriate for it to be destroyed by a force from another county. However, what everyone did not know was that destroying the Thunder Palace was just the beginning. At this moment, Jun Changshao had already left the forest with more than 500 wolf cavalry and was galloping towards the second stop, the Little Devil Sect. Just like the words he wrote on the stone slab with the blood of the Thunder Palace's palace master, "Those who offend my Iron Bone sect will be killed no matter how far away they are." "Friend," Su Xiaoma said, "please tell me the exact location of the Little Devil Sect." The warrior who was asked for directions pointed to the east and said, "Follow this road and cross 2 mountains to reach the Little Devil Sect." "Thank you." "You're welcome." Shwa! Su Xiaoma retracted the cold-edged sword from his neck, jumped onto the wolf, and cupped his hands. "See you later." "See you later." Watching that guy leave, the warrior who was asked for directions felt his legs go soft and directly collapse to the ground. He howled in his heart, "Is there anyone who asks for directions like this?" Jun Changshao did not take the small path with his disciples. Riding on the hurricane wolf, he was like a ball of wind, attracting the attention of many warriors. They all followed them, wanting to see what kind of things could run so fast. Following that, they arrived at the mountain where the Little Devil Sect was located. At first, they were still hesitating whether or not to go up the mountain. However, a gust of wind blew over and they smelled a faint scent of blood. This was not the smell of beast blood. This was the smell of human blood. The warriors mustered up their courage and climbed up the stone stairs. When they saw that the mountain gate had been destroyed, their eyes were filled with shock. Could it be that someone had come to destroy the Little Devil Sect? They hurriedly walked in and saw a shocking scene. Corpses were strewn all over the sect. Fresh blood stained the ground, and the air was filled with the pungent smell of blood. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a cold breath. The disciples of the Little Devil's sect were all killed? Look! Someone pointed at the main hall with trembling hands and exclaimed, "It's the patriarch of the Little Devil's sect, oh!" Everyone hurriedly turned their heads to look and saw an old man wearing a Taoist robe with golden edges sitting in the corner of the hall. His head was already lowered, and there was a deep and eye-catching saber scar on his chest. Not bad. It was the patriarch of the Little Devil's sect. Many martial artists walked up and saw the words written in blood on the wall under the plaque of Little Devil's sect. Anyone who offends my Iron Bone clan will be killed no matter how far away they are. Was this left behind by the murderer? Iron Bone clan. Wasn't it just a sect in the Azure Sun County? What kind of enmity, that made them dare to travel thousands of miles to kill people, and even exterminate a sixth-stream evil sect? Blood Flame Sect. At this moment, it was like hell. More than 500 Iron Bone disciples were riding on hurricane wolves and holding overlord spears. They were like valiant generals charging into battle, killing the disciples of this sect time and time again. They had strong cultivation, good equipment, and even had wolf beasts that were as fast as hurricanes. They killed people as easily as cutting grass. Although the sect master of the Blood Flame sect was enraged, there was nothing he could do. In front of him was Jun Changshao, who was riding on a Hurricane Wolf King and holding the Azure Dragon Crescent Blade. He was like an insurmountable mountain. In the end, all the disciples of the Blood Flame sect were killed. The higher-ups also died in the hands of Xiao Ziji and the others in less than 30 minutes. The sect master of the Blood Flame sect's skinny hands were trembling. He gritted his teeth and said, "This enmity is absolutely irreconcilable." Whoosh! Whoosh! As he spoke, a blood-colored flame appeared around him, and he flew into the air. This was a very evil blood flame escape technique. As long as it was activated, one could turn into a ball of blood-colored flame and quickly escape. The disadvantages were obvious. After using it, not only would the user be weakened, but they would also lose a lot of their lifespan. Jun Changshao, who was riding on a Hurricane Wolf King, was too powerful. The sect master of the Blood Flame sect knew that he wasn't Jun Changshao's match. Therefore, he could only activate his escape technique. Whoosh! At this moment, an azure blade ray filled the air. It contained the power to cut through rivers and directly slashed through the blood-colored light. Boom! The fire-like and blood-like attributes suddenly collapsed. The sect master of the Blood Flame sect was revealed from within, and his body was split into two halves. It was impossible for him to escape. Since he came to the Blood Flame sect, he had to seek justice. From the looks of it, Jun Changshao's so-called justice was to destroy these evil sections. Sect Master Xiao Ziji said, "The treasury has been found." Not only were the Thunderbolt Palace and Minor Devil sect destroyed, but their treasuries were also plundered. It was naturally the same for the Blood Flame sect. Instead of staying obediently in Huayang County, they went to Death Valley in Azure Sun County. Since it was an ownerless land, then so be it. However, they relied on their strength to rob anyone they didn't see eye to eye with. Now, they had kicked an iron plate and their sect was destroyed. Their wealth and resources were also swept clean. Jun Changshao was returning an eye for an eye. He was also telling the evil sects in Huayang County that they could rob as they wished in Azure Sun County, but he could also come to their territory and destroy them. After robbing the Blood Flame sect, Jun Changshao left behind a message in blood and led his disciples down the mountain to the final battle. Not long after they left, the cultivators in Huayang County who followed the footprints of the ferocious beasts were shocked when they saw a sixth-rate sect being annihilated. There was a distance between the Blood Flame sect and the Stormy Pavilion. Before Jun Changshao arrived, many cultivators had already received the news of 3 sixth-rate sects being annihilated. For a moment, the entire Huayang County was in an uproar. Normally, the annihilation of a 7th-rate sect would cause a lot of discussion. Now that 3 6th-rate sects were annihilated, it was undoubtedly a magnitude 12 earthquake. The 3 sects are at least 1,000 miles apart. It's impossible for them to be annihilated in just 4 hours. The annihilated sects were all left with a message in blood. It can't be fake. What grudges did Iron Bone have with the three evil sects? Why did they come all the way to Huayang County to annihilate their sects? Everyone was discussing. Then, an even more shocking news came. The three sects that were annihilated had discussed and agreed to go to Death Valley together half a month ago. The Stormy Pavilion was the one who initiated the expedition to Death Valley. They also sent their disciples. All the sects that were annihilated were those that participated in the expedition. Could it be that the Stormy Pavilion will be annihilated by Iron Bone next? Let's go and take a look. After receiving the news, many cultivators rushed to the Stormy Pavilion without stopping. As expected, many people captured the footprints of the ferocious beasts on the way and determined that the Iron Bone had come to Huayang County to target the 4 sects that participated in the expedition to Death Valley. Now, 3 sects had been annihilated. The Stormy Pavilion might not be able to survive, though. Chapter 367. The Thunder Palace, Little Devil's Sect, and Blood Flame Sect, 3 sixth-rate sects were completely annihilated. Many people inferred from various information that if Iron Bone continued to commit crimes, the next sect to be annihilated would be the Wind and Rain Pavilion. Annihilating 3 sixth-rate sects with lightning speed, this kind of strength shocked many martial artists. Yes, that's right. They had fought 74 rounds with the Sacred Springs sect and won 74 rounds. It was normal to annihilate a few evil sects with few disciples. In the Falling Star continent, other than the top sects, there weren't many disciples in the low-level evil sects because young people preferred to join the righteous sections. For example, among the 3 sects that were annihilated, the Blood Flame sect, which had the most disciples, only had 2,000 to 3,000 disciples. It couldn't be compared to the Vast Chi sect which had 5,000 to 6,000 disciples. However, 2,000 to 3,000 disciples were quite a lot. One must know that Jun Changshao only brought a little more than 500 disciples. Annihilating 3 sects in a row without losing a single one was already very powerful. It was still the same sentence. Everyone was at the bronze level. How could you fight against me when I had 6 godly equipment? There was no way to fight. Therefore, the 3 sects were annihilated. Even if it was the Vast Chi sect, when faced with a well-equipped wolf cavalry, they would still be beaten black and blue. Not to mention, they were riding on middle 5th grade hurricane wolves. Not to mention that they could annihilate a 6th-rate or 7th-rate sect. Even if they roared, they could scare the martial disciples out of their wits. Jun Changshao brought his disciples to Huayang County to seek justice. It could only be described as invincible. Wind and Rain Pavilion, martial arts practice field. Thousands of disciples gathered together and stared at the field. 2 martial artists were fighting fiercely. On the high platform, the Wind and Rain Pavilion's pavilion master sat with an ugly expression. Beside him, an old man with white hair and a ruddy complexion was stroking his beard with a smile on his face. Bang! After a while, the martial artist with a higher cultivation on the stage relied on an intricate fist art to send his opponent flying. Sigh. The Wind and Rain Pavilion's pavilion master cupped his hands and said, "Elder He, your Sacred Fire Cliff's disciples are all dragons among men. My Wind and Rain Pavilion accepts our loss wholeheartedly." Although Huayang County was also a 9th-rate county, it was stronger than Azure County because there were 2 5th-rate sects, 1 righteous and 1 evil. The righteous faction was called the House of Smoke. The evil sect was known as the Sacred Fire Cliff. In other words, Elder He and the martial cultivator who defeated the Stormwind Pavilion disciple were from the 5th-rate evil sect. They had come to the Windy Rain Pavilion for a friendly visit and had nothing better to do. In the end, after 5 battles, a Sacred Fire Cliff disciple defeated all 5 Wind and Rain Pavilion disciples by himself. As expected of a personal disciple, he was too strong. Elder He smiled and said, "Pavilion Master Zhang's disciple is also quite strong. If he continues to cultivate, he will definitely have great achievements." The Pavilion Master of Rainstorm Pavilion knew that this was just a polite greeting, so he naturally didn't take it to heart. He said, I have already prepared some food and wine. Elder He, please, boom. Suddenly, a loud noise was heard. The tightly shut mountain gate was instantly torn apart. The Stormwind Pavilion Master's expression changed as killing intent flashed in his eyes. Ta, ta. One by one, hurricane wolves carried Ironbone disciples in. This is, Elder, he asked in surprise, Hurricane Wolf? What? The Stormwind Pavilion Master's eyes were filled with astonishment. After all, this kind of vicious beast was at least comparable to a 5th-grade martial master. Pavilion Master Zhang. Elder, he smiled and said, it seems that someone is here to cause trouble. Wrong. Jun Changshao rode on the Hurricane Wolf King and held the green dragon crescent blade. He walked in from the outer gate and said indifferently, I'm here to seek justice. Elder, he smiled, disappeared and said, Hurricane Wolf King. The Stormwind Pavilion Master's mouth twitched. So many hurricane wolves were already shocking enough. He didn't expect someone to ride a Hurricane Wolf King. Friend. He suppressed his shock and said in a deep voice, you and I don't know each other. Why are you seeking justice? Jun Changshao raised his blade and pointed at Elder He. You shouldn't be from the Stormwind Pavilion. Quickly leave before you lose your life. What an arrogant child. Elder He sneered. Although the Hurricane Wolf King was strong, as a 5th-rate evil sect's elder, how could he be afraid of this young man? If he wasn't riding a fierce beast, with his cruel personality, he would have already killed him and crushed him like an ant. Jun Changshao said, I've given you a chance. If you don't leave, then leave your life here. He could tell from the aura that this white-haired old man must be from an evil sect. So what if he killed him? It didn't matter. Kakik. Elder, he laughed strangely. Brat, is it because you're riding a Hurricane Wolf King that you can be so arrogant? What does that have to do with you? Jun Changshao said indifferently. That Sacred Fire Cliff disciple said coldly, Brat, get off the horse if you have the guts, get off the wolf and fight me. He definitely couldn't stand the humiliation of an elder. But he was afraid of the Hurricane Wolf King, so he could only issue a challenge in this way. Ant, you're not qualified to fight me. Jun Changshao said indifferently, Zui Ji, take his head. Yes. Xiao Ziji jumped down from the wolf and walked over. The cold-edged sword in his hand shone with a silver light. The Sacred Fire Cliff disciple sneered and took out his scimitar. This was not a friendly fight but a battle of life and death. So, both of them were filled with killing intent. They would show no mercy once they attacked. The Stormwind Pavilion Master sneered. This young man was at most a level 5 or 6 martial master. He was definitely courting death. Great Desert Smoke. Suddenly, the Sacred Fire Cliff disciple attacked first. He waved the scimitar in his hand and slashed out a cold saber chi. Xiao Ziji used the cloud-treading steps to break the saber chi. Then, he approached the disciple and slashed the air with his cold-edged sword. He didn't practice any swordsmanship, but he poured powerful energy into the sword and slashed it out. Suddenly, a dazzling sword light appeared. Oh no! Ding! The sword light swept over and mercilessly shattered the disciple's scimitar. Whoosh! The cold light dissipated. The Sacred Fire Cliff disciple stood still, holding the broken scimitar in his right hand. His head had already flown off and fell on the stone floor. One slash, instant kill. Qingyong! Elder, he cried out in grief. The Stormwind Pavilion Master beside him was shocked. That Sacred Fire Cliff disciple was a level 8 martial master. He had defeated 5 disciples in a row, but now, he was killed by one slash. Who are you? He asked in a deep voice. The Stormwind Pavilion Master guessed that this young man might be from a big sect since he was so strong and riding on the Hurricane Wolf King. Ironbone Sect Master, Jun Changshao. Jun Changshao said lightly. Ironbone Sect? Elder, he said angrily, you killed my Sacred Fire Cliff disciple, so I won't stop until you die. Sacred Fire Cliff? Jun Changshao had never heard of it before. The system said, it's a fifth-rate evil sect in Huayang County. It's not inferior to Tsangshan's sect and Sacred Springs sect. Jun Changshao said, no wonder you were so calm just now. Damn it. He wanted to destroy the last Stormwind Pavilion, but he offended a fifth-rate evil sect. This was really troublesome. If he couldn't do it, then he would kill his way to the sacred fire cliff. Chapter 368. Jun Changshao's visit to Huayang County was to make an example out of the Iron Bone sect. If destroying a sixth-rate sect was not enough to show his might, then fighting a fifth-rate sect was not out of the question. With the middle-grade sect protection array, he dared to seek death in all kinds of ways. Fight to the death? Jun Changshao said indifferently, that sounds scary. Whoosh whoosh. Elder he waved his sleeves and a powerful energy burst out from his body, forming a wave of dark energy that spread toward Jun Changshao. In the process, the dark energy gradually condensed and turned into a huge fist with a force of at least 300,000 pounds. Elder he was a 7th-grade Wuzong. Although his strength was not as strong as the Sacred Springs sect's patriarch, because he cultivated an evil sect's cultivation method, his combat strength was comparable to that of an 8th-grade Wuzong. Whoosh whoosh. The dark fist came crashing down, stirring up a gust of wind. So strong. The stormy pavilion master was deeply shocked. This was only an elder of the sacred fire cliff. Who knew how strong the cliff master was? A fifth-rate sect was so terrifying. Boom! Right at this moment, the black fist seemed to have hit something halfway, and a deafening boom was heard. When everything calmed down, Xiao Ziji was standing not far from Jun Changshao with an iron shield. What? Elder He's expression changed. A fist with a force of 300,000 pounds was blocked by a mere martial master with a shield. This was unbelievable. The stormy pavilion master's eyes widened. If he had taken that blow from Elder He would have been seriously injured. This iron bone disciple was an impenetrable fortress. Whoosh whoosh. Elder He's aura burst out again and formed an even more powerful dark energy. Kid. Let's see how many times you can take it. Whoosh. After a while, the dark energy gathered and formed a huge fist with a force of 350,000 pounds. Xiao Ziji frowned. Even though he didn't budge from the first punch, he was already feeling a little powerless. If he were to take the second punch head-on, he would have no choice but to activate his defensive barrier. Sinful self, withdraw. Jun Changshao said, I'll meet him. Yes. Xiao Ziji retracted his defensive barrier and stepped away. Hoo-hoo. The fist of darkness whizzed over, and the force it produced swept up the gravel and dust. Shwa! Jun Changshao leaped up from the Hurricane Wolf King's body. The green dragon crescent blade in his hand glowed brightly as he slashed out an unparalleled azure blade chi. The strength of this saber strike was 350,000 jin. As a superior second-grade Wuzong, sect leader Jun's combat prowess had reached more than 300,000 jin. Coupled with the green dragon crescent blade, it was easy for him to fight a superior 7th-grade Wuzong. Whoosh! The green blade aura seemed to tear the space apart as it slashed the dark fist apart. Impossible! Elder he said in disbelief, he is only a second-grade Wuzong. How can he break my dark fist? Shwa! Jun Changshao used the cloud-treading steps to rush over. He raised the green dragon crescent blade again and shouted, warm wine slaying Hua Xiong. Whoosh! The green blade aura shot over again. Elder he was shocked and hurriedly retreated. Even though he managed to dodge it, the windy rain pavilion behind him suffered a calamity. A blade mark was left on it, and it was on the verge of collapsing. Shwa! Shwa! Sect leader Jun didn't let him off. He used his movement technique and rushed over again. Furthermore, he unreasonably slashed out 2 more times. The strength of each slash was extremely strong. Elder he didn't dare to take it head-on. He could only choose to continue dodging. In the end, the two green blade auras slashed the walls of the hall again. Whang! Whang! The hall that had been built for many years started to shake violently after being hit 3 times. Not good. The hall is going to collapse. Boom! The hall that had been through countless storms finally collapsed. Dust flew up and covered the sky. Pooh! The pavilion leader of the Windy Rain Pavilion spat out a mouthful of blood. The door that represented his face was destroyed by the Iron-Bone Sect. He was already furious. Now that the hall that represented the sect's dignity was collapsing, he was naturally furious. Elder, he wasn't in the mood to care about the hall. He looked at Jun Changshao with fear. In a short exchange of blows, he realized that the strength of the Iron-Bone Sect leader, who was young and had a low realm, was definitely not below him. Shwa! Jun Changshao waved his green dragon crescent blade and said indifferently, "Coward that only knows how to hide." Elder He's gaze became even more sinister. Jun Changshao said, "This seat is only targeting the Windy Rain Pavilion today. If you know what's good for you, you'd better scram." This was giving him a chance. Humph! Elder He waved his sleeves and said, "Goodbye." He was scared. Actually, if he had admitted defeat just now, he could have brought his disciple away safely. However, he had used his status as a fifth-rate sect to cause his disciple to be killed. It was normal. At first, Elder He didn't know that the Iron-Bone Sect leader and his disciple were so strong. After a simple exchange, he realized that he couldn't afford to offend them, so he could only admit defeat. Elder He! The Windy Rain Pavilion's pavilion master hurriedly shouted. This Iron-Bone Sect leader's strength was so terrifying that even the Sacred Fire Cliff's elder was scared to admit defeat. How could he face him? Pavilion Master Zhang. Elder He said, "You caused this trouble. Solve it yourself." After saying that, he left with his tail between his legs. It wasn't that he didn't want to help, but that he really couldn't. Wait a minute. Jun Changshao said. Elder He stopped and said nervously, "Sect leader Jun, is there anything else?" Jun Changshao said, "Go back and pass a message to your boss. It's best not to provoke the Iron-Bone Sect. Otherwise, this seat will visit the Sacred Fire Cliff." Shwa! He waved his hand. Awo! The hurricane wolves howled. Then, under the control of the Iron-Bone Sect leader, they rushed toward the Windy Rain Pavilion's disciples and started a fierce massacre. Seeing this, Elder He immediately understood. When he said he would visit the Sacred Fire Cliff, he must be riding on these hurricane wolves. A threat. A blatant threat. Understood. After saying this, Elder He hurriedly left the mountain gate. He ran faster than a rabbit. If the other party wanted to kill him and chased after him on the Hurricane Wolf King, even 10 of him would die here. Isn't that the Sacred Fire Cliff's elder? Why is he in the Windy Rain Pavilion? All the cultivators in Huayang County had already rushed over. When they saw Elder He leaving quickly, their faces were filled with confusion. "Come, let's go up the mountain." Everyone rushed into the Windy Rain Pavilion. After entering the broken gate, they saw the hurricane wolves squatting in the outer courtyard. The Iron-Bone Sect leader was searching the corpses. Jun Changshao, who left the bloody message, turned around and saw so many cultivators. He said, "From today onwards, the Windy Rain Pavilion will be removed from the Jianghu." All the cultivators saw the pavilion master's corpse and the corners of their mouths twitched. In such a short time, another sixth-rate sect was destroyed. This Iron-Bone Sect leader was too terrifying. Of course. Jun Changshao said, "I didn't mean to cause trouble in Huayang County. The Windy Rain Pavilion and the other 3 sects were destroyed because they bullied my Iron-Bone Sect leader." The corners of everyone's mouths twitched even more. Since ancient times, it was normal for disciples to be bullied outside. Just because of this, he came from thousands of miles away and destroyed 4 sections. This was too much. That was what was needed. Because only when you went overboard, others wouldn't provoke you. On the other hand, the more low-profile you were, the more others would think you were a pushover and would come to pinch you at any time. Chapter 369. Jun Changshao rode on the Hurricane Wolf King and left the stormy pavilion with more than 500 disciples. The cultivators who had rushed over earlier could only watch. If it was someone else who dared to destroy a sect in their own territory, they would definitely not tolerate it. They would definitely stop them and demand an explanation. But now, no one dared to stop a group of Iron Bone disciples riding on hurricane wolves. They could not wait for them to leave. This was the embodiment of strength. They destroyed 4 sixth-rate sects in a day. That's too scary. We can't afford to offend Iron Bone. When you go to Azure Sun County in the future, you must remember that you can offend anyone but this sect. For sects were destroyed because they bullied Iron Bone disciples. Many cultivators in the Stormy Pavilion remembered the Iron Bone sect and imprinted it in their hearts. As the news spread, the entire Huayang County became lively. That seems to be a 7th-rate sect. Although it's only a 7th-rate sect, they are very strong and ride on hurricane wolves. It's said that Elder He of the Sacred Flame Cliff was in the Stormy Pavilion at the time. Someone saw him running away in a sorry state. He must be afraid of Iron Bone. Speaking of the Sacred Flame Cliff, they had to have a good talk. After Elder He returned, he told the Cliff Master about the incident. The Cliff Master was furious when he heard that his personal disciple was killed. He decided to find Iron Bone personally to demand an explanation. When he heard that 4 sixth-rate sects were destroyed, he immediately suppressed his anger. To be honest, as a 5th-rate sect, the Sacred Flame Cliff could also destroy 6th-rate sections. However, it was impossible for them to destroy 4 sixth-rate sects in such a short time. Cliff Master, Elder He advised, Iron Bone's sect master is riding a Hurricane Wolf King and his disciple is riding a Hurricane Wolf. They are not simple. In my opinion, it's best not to provoke them. That's right. Another elder said, that guy traveled thousands of miles to Huayang County to destroy 4 sections. It's obvious that he is establishing his power. It's not wise to find trouble with him now. That makes sense. The Cliff Master of the Sacred Flame Cliff thought about it and gave up on finding Iron Bone. Of course. His personal disciple was killed. He would remember this grudge. The news of the annihilation of the 4 evil sects spread like wildfire in Huayang County. Many forces were shocked when they heard about it. It would be fine if the sects that were destroyed were 8th or 9th rate, but the sects that were destroyed by Iron Bone were all 6th-rate sects. The ones who were most shocked were the evil sects who had participated in the martial arts competition in Huayang County. Li Qingyang had won the championship and killed the contestants they sent out. This had caused many forces to resent him, and they were still thinking of finding time to visit the Iron Bone Club. Lucky. She didn't want to cause trouble on impulse. Otherwise, wouldn't he be sending himself to the Tiger's Den? Ghost Hand Sect. Song Si, whose sole origin was controlled by Jun Changshao, was greatly shocked when he heard the news. Elder Song, the sect leader of the Ghost Hand Sect, walked around the hall with his hands behind his back. After a while, he stopped and said, "Thank you for dissuading me. Otherwise, my Ghost Hand Sect would have ended up like the other 4 sects." He was furious that his disciple was killed by Li Qingyang. However, Song Si, who had returned from Qingyang County, used all sorts of reasons to stop him from finding trouble with the Iron Bone Club. Of course. With his sole origin being controlled, Song Si had to think of a way to stop it. Otherwise, his life would be over. When he heard that Iron Bone had annihilated 4 evil sects, the sect leader of the Ghost Hand Sect realized that this was an existence that he couldn't afford to offend. To be able to annihilate 4 sixth-rate sects, the 7th-rate sects were nothing. Sect leader. At this moment, a disciple said, "Someone who claims to be from Murdering God Temple has sent an invitation." Murdering God Temple? The sect leader and Song Si's expression changed greatly. Shwa! They received the invitation and opened it. On it was written, "Sect leader of the Ghost Hand Sect, please visit the Murdering God Temple branch 3 days later." At the end of the paper, there was a very sinister skull drawn. The sect leader of the Ghost Hand Sect held the invitation in his hand and couldn't help but tremble as he said, "This. What is going on?" Similarly, the other big shots of the evil sects in Huayang County were also shocked, because they had all received an invitation from the Murdering God Temple on the same day. As a result, many forces that were relatively far away rushed through the night to head to the Murdering God Temple's branch. They were also feeling extremely nervous. After all, no one knew why the other party wanted them to go. Iron Bone Club. Jun Changshao returned with his disciple. What? In the main hall, Li Luoqiu, who had just sat down, stood up with a swoosh and said in disbelief, "He went to Huayang County and annihilated 4 sects?" "That's right." Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and said. Li Luoqiu was speechless. "Such a good thing, why didn't you let me go?" In the sect, it was either cultivation or training. It was too boring, so she naturally hoped to go out to relax and kill people. Don't worry, Jun Changshao said, "there will be plenty of opportunities in the future." After destroying 4 sects in a row, he had established enough prestige, but as long as he was in the martial arts world, there would definitely be a lot of trouble. Li Luoqiu said, "Sect leader, we destroyed 4 evil sects in such a high-profile manner, I'm afraid that it will arouse public anger in Huayang County." Jun Changshao took a sip of tea and said, "If you're not afraid of death, you can come and find trouble. With the sect protection formation and a group of wolf cavalry as long as the forces of Huayang County dared to come, they would definitely not be able to return." To be honest, although the current Iron Bone Club was only a 7th-rate sect, its true strength was comparable to a 6th-rate sect, or even stronger. After returning to the sect, Jun Changshao began to take stock of his gains. The 4 6th-rate evil sects were truly rich. If the gold, silver, and jewels were converted into silver, it would be 100 million. Crystal cores, medicinal herbs, and ores were even more numerous. Jun Changshao opened the alchemy pavilion and matched several types of pills. After adjusting to the maximum value, he began to refine. The weapons, shields, and soft armors in the forging pavilion could also be refined. The talisman pavilion's strength increasing talisman and talisman of insight could also be refined into 200 or 300 pieces. Awesome! Jun Changshao's lips curled into a smile. At this moment, he really had the urge to go to Huayang County and rob the evil sections. After all, money and resources came quickly. Forget it. He wasn't from the evil sects, how could he rob them? Sect leader Jun didn't know that after destroying 4 sects in such a ruthless manner, many forces and martial artists in Huayang County had labeled Iron Bone Club as an evil sect. After making a trip to Huayang County, he had earned a lot of money and resources. How wonderful! Xiao Ziji and the others also brought a lot of beast meat and crystal cores from their trip to Death Valley, which could be used to refine more elementary beast pills. Ding! 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 The notifications kept ringing. Jun Changshao acted as if he didn't hear anything. He sat cross-legged in his room and continued to practice martial arts. In these few days, the other disciples returned to Iron Bone Club one after another, bringing more beast meat with them. From the looks of it, sect leader Jun didn't lack elementary beast pills for now. Chapter 370. The news of 4 evil sects being annihilated in Huayang County was too shocking. In just 2 to 3 days, the news had spread across the entire Azure Sun County. When the various factions and rogue cultivators heard the news, their first reaction was to widen their eyes. Annihilating 4 sixth path evil sects in a day? This wasn't possible, right? Later on, many factions received confirmation through their connections in Huayang County and were deeply shocked. Oh my god! This is too scary. Those were 4 sixth path evil sects, not 8th or 9th path. How could he annihilate them so easily? Many cultivators were exhilarated as they discussed. Because of Death Valley, many evil sects in Huayang County would have conflicts with the factions in Azure Sun County. The most famous one was 3 years ago when a 7th Path sect's disciples were hunting in the valley and had a conflict with a 6th Path sect's disciples. In the end, they were razed to the ground. Wait a minute. The faction that annihilated the Azure Sun County was Stormy Pavilion. At that time, 2 elders and hundreds of disciples from Stormy Pavilion came. Not only did they annihilate the 7th Path sect, but they also killed many elderly, women, and children. It was so cruel that it made one's hair stand. What about the 100 Sect Alliance? At that time, Qin Haoran had tried to mediate between the two factions, but the other party was determined to annihilate them. Hence, he could only turn a blind eye. In short, as long as the factions in Azure Sun County provoked the factions in Huayang County, especially the evil sects, they could only admit defeat. It was unbearable and sullen. Now that Iron Bone had gone to Huayang County to cause trouble and annihilated 4 6th Path evil sects, the Azure Sun County cultivators could hold their heads up high. At that moment, many factions and individuals who had been bullied by the evil sects had great respect for Jun Changshao and despised the 100 Sect Alliance for not doing anything. Vast Qi Sect. Alliance Master Qin sat at the head of the table with an ugly expression on his face. His hands were tightly gripping the armrest. He was extremely angry. How could he not be angry? He didn't dare to provoke the 6th Path evil sects, but 4 of them were annihilated by Jun Changshao. This wasn't just a slap to his face, it was also a slap to the 100 Sect Alliance's face. Without a doubt. When the Azure Sun County cultivators knew about this, they would definitely worship that kid. He and the Alliance would only be despised by them. Without comparison, there would be no harm. Humph, Shentong sneered, there are many evil sects in Huayang County. Since Jun Changshao dared to eliminate 4 of them, he will definitely provoke public anger and bring more trouble. Not bad. Situ Wang said faintly, the evil faction is not to be trifled with. Once we provoke them, Iron Bone will definitely be annihilated. At that time, the practitioners of Azure Sun County will understand why our 100 Sect Alliance chose to remain silent, another big shot said. Alliance Master Qin, who was originally very angry, immediately relaxed. Now. He paused for a moment and said, we're just waiting for big trouble. After wiping out 4 6th Path heretical sects and venting the anger of the Azure Sun County, they were still waiting to watch the show. These people were really hopeless. The cultivators outside were still discussing the Iron Bone when sect leader Jun came to the herb garden after finishing his cultivation. Every time he came here, he would see the spiritual energy condensed in the air. It was much stronger than before, giving people a feeling that it was both real and illusory. Elder Wei. Jun Changshao said, when will the spiritual energy in the mountain recover? Although he had the tenfold spirit gathering formation and chi gathering pills, he still felt that his cultivation speed was not fast enough. Therefore, he could only rely on the recovery of spiritual energy and the extraction of spirit stone veins. Elder Wei said, if it's fast, it'll take 3 to 5 months. If it's slow, it'll take 3 to 5 years. At the fastest, it would take a few months. This made Jun Changshao speechless. The recovery of spiritual energy required an opportunity and conditions. Forcefully extracting the spirit stone veins would only cause destruction. Therefore, they had to wait no matter how anxious they were. Sect leader. At this moment, Li Qingyang came to report, Elder Ma of Azure Mountain Sect has come to visit. He's already in the main hall with an anxious expression. It seems like something has happened. Is that so? Jun Changshao went to the main hall. The moment he stepped in, Ma Yinteng said anxiously, Sect leader Jun, you wiped out 4 heretical sects in Huayang County? That's right. Jun Changshao said. Trouble, trouble. Ma Yinteng frowned even more. Jun Changshao said, what's the matter? Ma Yinteng said with a solemn expression, Sect leader Jun, have you heard of Murdering God Temple? Murdering God Temple? Jun Changshao shook his head and said, never heard of it. Ma Yinting said, it's a third-rate heretical sect that's as famous as Demon Fiend Sect. It has a branch in Huayang County. I didn't offend Murdering God Temple. Jun Changshao said. Ma Yinting said, you didn't offend Murdering God Temple, but you offended a few heretical sects in Huayang County. Jun Changshao seemed to understand something and said, Elder Ma means that Murdering God Temple will stand up for the 4 heretical sects that were wiped out and find trouble with my iron bone? That's right. Elder Ma said solemnly. Jun Changshao's mouth twitched. I just relied on old Master Shengguan's power to deal with Demon Fiend Sect, and now I've offended another third-rate heretical sect. I'm too unlucky. The system said, it's not unlucky, you asked for it. Scram. Jun Changshao said. Ma Yinting said solemnly, this Murdering God Temple is more difficult to deal with than Demon Fiend Sect. If they insist on standing up for the 4 heretical sects, they will definitely come to Qingyang County. Sect leader Jun, please make preparations early. Yes. Jun Changshao said. If Demon Fiend Sect can't be offended, Murdering God Temple definitely can't be offended. Sect leader Jun, it's best to quickly find old Master Shengguan and inform him of the situation. Ma Yinting suggested. Jun Changshao said, I've just troubled him. If I ask for help again, I'll be a little embarrassed. Ma Yinting was speechless. When Murdering God Temple comes, it will be a great crisis. Sect leader Jun, what's there to be embarrassed about? That's true. Jun Changshao said, I'll go to Xingyang City now. Saying that, he walked out of the main hall and activated the sect protection array again. Then, he let the disciples cultivate in the sect and not go out casually. Sect leader Li Luoqiu said with sound transmission, there's news from Huayang County. Murdering God Temple has gathered 20 heretical sections. They are currently rushing towards my Iron Bone sect. Who gave the news? Song Si. He went to Murdering God Temple's branch with the Ghost Hand sect leader and found out that the other party had gathered so many heretical sects to seek justice for the 4 heretical sects that were destroyed. Thus, he secretly contacted the spies of Drizzle Hall. How many people? How strong are they? When will they arrive? Jun Changshao asked. Li Luoqiu said, 2 martial kings, 12 wuzong, and around 10,000 disciples from each sect. They are expected to arrive tomorrow morning. Damn! Jun Changshao's mouth twitched, what a big battle. Sect leader Jun, Ma Yinting walked out of the main hall and said, why are you still in a daze? Quickly go to Xingyang City. It's nothing, it's nothing. Jun Changshao said, I have Hurricane Wolf King. They will arrive soon. All right then. Ma Yinting cupped his hands and said, I'll take my leave first. I'll go back and discuss with sect leader. Jun, I won't send you off. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said. He did not plan to tell Ma Yinting about Murdering God Temple and the heretical sects, because if the other party knew, he would definitely not leave. He had to face the trouble he caused himself. How could he have the nerve to implicate this friend? P.S. The house is being renovated these 2 days, and I still have to change the circuit. I'm very busy, so I'll update 2 times first. It will take about 2 to 3 days. Chapter 371. If they were not afraid of death, they could come and cause trouble. This was what Jun Changshao said before. It was very pretentious and powerful. And he was sure that he had destroyed 4 sixth-rate evil sects in a row, which must have shocked Huayang County. The sects would not dare to provoke him. No matter how much he thought about it, he did not expect that the Deicide Hall would come out and contact 20 evil sects, bringing close to 10,000 disciples and charging over in a grandiose manner. Depressing. Jun Changshao frowned. If it was just a group of evil sects joining forces, he would not be able to defeat them. But with the participation of the third-rate evil sects, it was more troublesome. Li Luoqiu said, tomorrow morning, the foot of the mountain will be full of people. How should we deal with it? Jun Changshao frowned. He dismissed the idea of asking Sheng Wanhong for help because it was already dusk. Even if he could go back and forth, he would not be able to contact the people of the Heavenly Mandate Academy. Not to mention, they had just helped him. It was not right to ask for help again. So, he had to rely on himself. Li Luoqiu said, "Take the disciples into the mountain to hide." "No need." Jun Changshao said confidently, "With the Sect protection matrix, they can't come in." Li Luoqiu also knew that the matrix was very strong. She said, "They are coming with great momentum. If they keep blocking the top of the mountain, we can't get out." So, Jun Changshao said, "We have to find a way to deal with this." The Sect protection matrix could protect the iron bone. It did not matter even if they were exhausted. But after all, it was a big problem. They had to deal with it perfectly like the demon sect. "How do we deal with it?" Li Luoqiu asked. Jun Changshao held his chin and said, "Let me think about it." After a while, he had a flash of inspiration. He snapped his fingers and said, "Deal with it according to the rules of the Jianghu." Rules of the Jianghu? Li Luoqiu was confused. At this moment, she received a message from the spies in the city. The content was that a large number of warriors from Huayang County had entered Qingyang County. There were 50 to 60,000 of them. 50 to 60,000? Jun Changshao said in surprise, "Why are there more?" When the 20 evil sect masters set off, the news had already spread in Huayang County. Many warriors came to watch the fun. Blue Mountain Sect. Ma Yinting had just returned when Wang Donglin rushed into the room and threw a letter over. "Something big is going to happen. Something big is going to happen." He opened the letter, and after reading the contents, he stood up from his chair and said in shock, it's over, something big has happened." The letter was sent by the God-slaying Hall branch. The content was the Iron Bone Righteous Sect of the Azure Sun County has wantonly destroyed 4 sects of my Huayang County. Tomorrow, they will pay the price. I advise your sect not to participate in this to avoid being implicated. AI. Wang Donglin sighed and said, "The Deicide Palace is telling us not to help sect leader Jun." Ma Yinting said gravely, "The thing I worried about the most still happened. This calamity will be even worse than the Demon Fiend sect. What should we do? What else can we do? Hurry up and inform the sect leader." For such a big matter, even if they wanted to help Jun Changshao, the sect leader had to make the decision. At the same time, Alliance Master Qin, who was in the Grand Qi sect, also received the letter from the Deicide Palace. The general meaning was that the evil sects of my Huayang County will target the Iron Bone tomorrow. The 100 Sect Alliance will continue to turn a blind eye. Ha ha ha. Ah ha ha ha. Wild laughter came from the main hall. Jun Changshao. Alliance Master Qin was wild with joy. Your big trouble is coming. He was still waiting during the day, but it came at night. At this time, not to mention turning a blind eye, he wanted to use his finger to poke his eyes blind so that he really couldn't see. Such a happy thing couldn't be enjoyed alone. Qin Haoran hurriedly sent a messenger pigeon to the leaders of the various sects and asked them to hurry up and go to the Iron Bone tomorrow. What for? That's right, watch the show. Huayang County's arrival this time was not only huge, but they also informed Azure Sun County in advance. Many warriors received the news. As expected. I knew it. Iron Bone destroyed 4 evil sections. Huayang County will definitely not let this matter rest. 20 evil sects came down and they are even from the Deicide Palace. Sect leader Jun is going to be in big trouble this time. I hope we can get through this safely. Although that was what they said, the warriors of Azure Sun County didn't think that Iron Bone could get through this safely. After all, with so many people and so many experts, even a 5th-rate sect wouldn't be able to handle it. Let's go. Let's go to Azure Sun City. Many forces, families and even rogue cultivators took action. 20 evil sects from Huayang County were going to denounce Iron Bone. This was a big matter, how could they not do anything? Azure Sun City. After Xie Guangquan received the news, he anxiously paced up and down in the main hall and said frantically, "My sect leader June, why did you provoke another third-rate evil sect?" No, no. I have to inform him quickly. Xie Guangquan calmed down. Even though it was already late at night, he still personally went to Ironbone. However, when he arrived at the foot of the mountain, his eyes widened. At this moment, there were many white objects hanging on the branches, illuminating the surroundings. "This is," Xie Guangquan was shocked, "Night Pearl?" No. What he saw was called a light bulb on earth. This was one of the daily goods that Jun Changshao bought when he refreshed. It was called the Magic Modified Energy Saving Lamp, and it could light up by itself without any electricity. Speaking of which, why did he hang this thing at the foot of the mountain? Because within the range of the light, the disciples of Ironbone were working overtime. Some were chopping trees while others were lifting stone slabs. Xie Guangquan glanced around and realized that they were going to set up a platform. Jun Changshao, who was in charge of supervising the work, asked in surprise, "City Lord Xia, why have you come here so late at night?" Seeing him so calm, the corner of Xie Guangquan's mouth twitched. "Sect leader Jun, the evil sects of Huayang County have joined forces and are rushing over with murderous intent." "I know," Jun Changshao said. Xie Guangquan was stunned and broke down. "Since sect leader Jun knows, why do you have time to bring your disciples here to set up a platform? Do you want to watch a play?" Jun Changshao smiled. "They came from afar, so I naturally have to entertain them well." Xie Guangquan almost fainted to the ground. The evil sects of Huayang County obviously came to destroy Ironbone this time, but he still entertained them. Was there something wrong with his brain? 2 hours later. A stone platform as big as a basketball court was built by the disciples of Ironbone together. A large wooden sign was erected in the direction of the sect as the background. Only then did Xie Guangquan realize that they were not building a stage, but more like an arena. "Bring me a brush," Jun Changshao shouted. Li Qingyang hurriedly brought over a brush and ink, but the brush was extra large. Shwa! Jun Changshao held the brush, dipped it in ink, and started to write on the wooden board with one hand. A moment later, he put away the brush and stood up, looking heroic. On the wooden board, 3 bold and powerful words appeared: Life and Death Platform. Shwa! Shwa! Sect leader Jun dipped the brush in ink again. On the left side, he wrote, "I will laugh at the sky with my blade." On the right side, he wrote, "Go and leave the 2 Kunlun mountains." Horizontal scroll. Ironbone. Chapter 372. Back on Earth, Jun Changshao's studies weren't that good, but he was good at calligraphy, so the words he wrote were like dragons flying and phoenixes flying. If it weren't for the fact that the evil sects were coming, Xie Guangquan would have clapped his hands and cheered. "Sect leader Jun," he frowned and said, "you built such a ring and named it Life and Death. Are you going to fight the evil sects?" "That's right," Jun Changshao said. "According to the rules of Jianghu, we'll fight them fair and square." Xie Guangquan's mouth twitched. According to the information he received, the evil sects in Huayang County had sent 2 martial kings. If they fought fair and square, they would definitely die miserably. Sect leader Jun, Xie Guangquan said, "The enemy is coming aggressively this time. Why don't we hide first and come out after the wind blows over?" This was the idea he came up with when he came. Although he was helpless, it was the safest way for now. "Thank you, City Lord," Jun Changshao said. "I won't back down. I want to tell the whole world that the first principle of Ironbone is to live as a hero and die as a hero." He had never heard of this principle before. Some of the Ironbone disciples took out small notebooks and wrote it down, while others closed their eyes and recited it silently. Live as a hero. Die as a hero. Xie Guangquan recited it silently and was immediately filled with respect. In the face of a powerful enemy, he was still able to remain calm and unruffled. Moreover, He was able to say such words that could swallow mountains and rivers. He was truly an unyielding man. Fine. City Lord Xia was infected and said, since sect leader Jun wants to fight, I'm willing to go through this with Iron Bone. He didn't mention the 3.6 million citizens, because he could only represent himself in this matter. Thank you. Jun Changshao cupped his hands and said. Knowing that the enemy was coming, he still supported him. This was a true friend in need. The sky gradually brightened, and the modified energy-saving lamps hanging on the trees were also extinguished. The newly built life and death ring was shrouded in the early morning mist, revealing a solemn and dignified aura. I laughed to the sky with my blade. Leave behind the 2 Kunlun mountains. If someone saw the vigorous and powerful words written on the wooden board, they would be in awe. The Iron Bone disciples didn't return to the sect to rest. They lined up neatly on both sides of the ring with their hands behind their backs and their heads high. Xie Guangquan saw this and thought, as expected of the Iron Bone sect. The early morning fog gradually dissipated with the sunrise, and everything became clear. Suddenly, many martial artists appeared in the wilderness. Xie Guangquan's heart skipped a beat as he thought to himself, the evil sects from Huayang County are here already? No, no. They were all martial artists of the martial artists from Huayang City Huayang. When they were in UU, Fight to the death. The clans and rogue cultivators of Qingyang City shouted. Right at this moment, Huyang City's AI clan, Sunyang City's Song clan, and the other 7 castellans appeared one after another. They weren't here to watch the show. They were here to support Iron Bone. Huayang County's evil faction had been bullying Azure Sun County for a long time. Everyone had been complaining about it for a long time. It was Iron Bone who helped them vent their anger. Now that they were in trouble, they naturally came from all directions to help. In a short period of time, close to 100,000 martial cultivators had gathered near the life and death arena. The number could be said to be enormous. Of course. Those who came were either from clans or rogue cultivators. Not a single sect was present. This was because the sects in the Azure Sun County had to be members of the alliance. They would definitely not side with Jun Changshao. Sect Master Jun. The city lord of Liang City cupped his hands and said, 3 years ago, the Windy Rain Pavilion annihilated 5,320 members of the 7th-rate Xinghe sect in my territory. Even the elderly, women, and children were not spared. You destroyed the Stormwind Pavilion. As he spoke, he bowed and said, I thank you on their behalf. Sect Master Jun. The city lord of Shouyang City bowed and said, I thank you. There was also an 8th-rate sect in his territory that was annihilated because it offended the Little Demon sect. Plop. A young man knelt down and kowtowed to Jun Changshao. Tears fell like rain as he said, Thank you, Sect Master Jun, for avenging my family of 36. Please accept this bow from Wang Dong. He was a direct descendant of a small clan in Yaoyang City. Back then, he had followed his father and the others to Death Valley to train. Because of a ferocious beast, he had offended the Thunder Palace. In the end, his entire clan was annihilated. He was the only one who had luckily survived. Sect Master Jun, please accept this bow from me. Sect Master Jun, please accept this bow from me. Sect Master Jun, one martial cultivator after another bowed to Jun Changshao. Most of them had been bullied or had relatives who had died in the hands of the 4 6th-rate sections. What was an evil faction? That was, they were cruel and took pleasure in killing people. They never considered the pain of others. As long as they provoked them, they would have to pay a painful price. Therefore, the more people they killed, the more enemies they had. Now that so many martial cultivators were bowing to Jun Changshao, it meant that he had annihilated 4 evil factions in a row. It could be considered as getting rid of evil for the people. Although the falling star continent was cruel, there were still true feelings. Iron Bone had helped them and their relatives take revenge. That was a great kindness. Therefore, they had to help when they were in trouble today. Everyone. Jun Changshao said righteously, punishing evil and getting rid of evil is what my Iron Bone sect should do. The system was speechless. It was clearly the 4 evil factions in Huayang County who had offended their disciples, so they went to annihilate them. Why did he say that they were great heroes? Was there anyone who would flatter themselves like that? Yes. Jun Changshao. At this moment, the members of the 100 Sect Alliance led by Qin Haoran appeared in his field of vision. When he saw so many martial cultivators from Azure Sun County gathered in front of the arena, he thought to himself, could it be that these people are like me, here to see Iron Bone get annihilated? Sect Leader Jun. The City Lord of Liang City said, we will not allow the evil factions in Huayang County to invade. We will not allow it. Everyone shouted in unison, their voices shaking the heavens and earth. This sentence made Jun Changshao feel deeply moved. He also realized that the cruel falling star continent was not filled with martial cultivators with twisted values. There were also many martial cultivators with positive energy. Qin Haoran, who was guessing, was viciously slapped in the face again. His face instantly turned ugly. Are they crazy? How dare they protect Iron Bone? Or do they not have a deep understanding of the evil faction's cruel ways? No. City Lord Ao and City Lord Han both had their own forces in the territory that had been annihilated by the evil factions in Huayang County. They should know their way of doing things. Protecting Iron Bone at this moment was just courting death. Humph, Shentong said faintly, I don't know what kind of bewitching potion that guy fed them. Jun appreciates everyone's good intentions, but... After pausing, Jun Changshao said loudly, I will bear the consequences of my own actions. The trouble that my Iron Bone has caused, I, Iron Bone, will bear it alone. Chapter 373. Jun Changshao was touched that the martial cultivators of Azure Sun County were willing to help when Iron Bone was in trouble. However, he had to deal with his own problems and would not implicate others. Humph, Shentong sneered. Pretending to be calm. There were so many evil sect disciples and 2 martial kings. He did not believe that Iron Bone would not be afraid. Qin Haoran was sure that Iron Bone would not be able to escape even with the support of so many martial cultivators. However, not all the members of the 100 Sect Alliance were gloating. Many of the big shots and disciples following behind him had awkward expressions on their faces. They had been bullied by the evil sects in Huayang County and did not dare to speak up. They felt relieved when Jun Changshao destroyed 4 evil sections. Now that Iron Bone was in trouble, it was too much for them to follow the Alliance Master to watch the show. Qin Haoran. Xie Guangquan said coldly. If you're here to watch the show, please get lost. Azure Sun City does not welcome you. He already had a problem with the 100 Sect Alliance in Azure Sun County challenging the Holy Springs Sect. Now that the evil sects were here to watch the show, he could not tolerate it anymore. Qin Haoran's face darkened. Just as he was about to speak, Jun Changshao said, he's a guest from afar. How can Alliance Master Qin ask him to get lost? Humph, Xie Guangquan snorted. Since the governor was so shameless, the families and martial cultivators of Azure Sun City would not be nice to Qin Haoran. The martial cultivators of other cities were the same. The 100 Sect Alliance either disappeared or pretended not to know when the evil sects in Huayang County bullied the people of Azure Sun County. They were already disappointed. Now that they were here to watch Iron Bone make a fool of himself, they were extremely disappointed. Many elders and disciples of the Alliance felt even more guilty. The sect leader of the Long Blade sect sneered. Iron Bone destroyed 4 evil sections. It's not a big deal that he was destroyed, but it's a big deal that he implicated Azure Sun County. The evil sects in Huayang County are cruel and vengeful. Situ Wang said sternly, if the Iron Bone faction causes a disaster to befall my Azure Sun County, then even 10,000 deaths won't be enough to absolve the blame. As soon as he said that, many of the guilt-ridden alliance big shots felt relieved. This time, the evil sects of Huayang County had launched a large-scale invasion. If they did not only destroy the Iron Bones sect, but also many other sects, it would definitely be a disaster. Ha! Jun Changshao laughed loudly. Then, he looked at the ugly faces of Shintong, Situ Wang, and the others and said, "A bunch of dogs who have been kneeling for a long time. They only know how to cling to life and fear death." The 100 Sect Alliance members were infuriated. Jun Changxiao's expression hardened as he shouted, "My Iron Bone clan will show you trash what it means to have your head cut off, your blood flow, and your bones of steel cannot be thrown away." These words were filled with a heroic spirit that soared to the heavens. Iron Bone. Iron Bone. From the moment the book was opened, the name of this sect was not a joke. It represented a kind of integrity, and more importantly, it represented a kind of spirit. The first sect leader was willing to break out of prison and be beheaded to carry on the spirit. "A boorish man," Situ Wang sneered. "A boorish man?" Jun Changshao clasped his hands behind his back and said proudly, "If the heavens did not give birth to my Iron Bone, the Mang Dao would be like a long night. If the heavens did not give birth to my Iron Bone, the Mang Dao would be like a long night." Xie Guangquan said admiringly, "Today, I swear to go through thick and thin with the Iron Bone sect. We are willing to go through thick and thin with the Iron Bone sect." The martial cultivators of Azure Sun County shouted in unison. At this moment, Jun Changxiao's words stirred the passion in their bodies and the integrity hidden deep in their hearts. Qin Haoran's face turned gloomier. He had always been highly respected in Azure Sun County. Now that so many people were supporting the Iron Bone, he was very unhappy and angry. He he he. Suddenly, eerie laughter came from behind. Two black-robed martial artists walked over step by step. When Qin Haoran saw the skull pattern on their chests, he exclaimed, "Deicide Hull." The martial cultivators of Azure Sun County were shocked. This was a third-rate evil sect. It was one of the strongest sects in the Falling Star continent. One of the black-robed martial artists saw the arena and smiled eerily. "Brother Jean, the Iron Bones sect has built the mourning hall in advance. Since we have eliminated 4 evil sects, we naturally have to take care of the funeral arrangements," the other black-robed martial artist said indifferently. As the two of them got closer, an eerie aura spread out, causing the martial cultivators of Azure Sun County to tremble in fear. Are these the martial kings of the evil sects? How terrifying! Whoosh! 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 Suddenly, more martial cultivators appeared behind the two martial kings. Although they were dressed differently, they all emitted eerie auras. Obviously, they were all from the evil sects. "They are coming, they are coming." Qin Haoran sneered inwardly. The Iron Bones sect will be eliminated soon. The two Deicide Hall martial artists and a large group of people from the evil sects appeared. The martial cultivators of Azure Sun County stood with their hands behind their backs. There was no fear on their faces. Whoosh! 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 Not long after, 20 evil sects with a total of 10,000 people stopped in front of the life and death ring. They were 100 meters away from the martial cultivators of Azure Sun County. Alliance Master Qin. The Deicide Hall elder glanced at the martial cultivators and sneered. "You have brought so many people here. Are you planning to fight with us from Huayang County? Don't misunderstand." Qin Haoran cupped his hands and said, "We are here to watch the show." As he spoke, he led the alliance members to the side, keeping a distance from the martial cultivators of Azure Sun County. Kakik. The elder laughed. A wise man submits to circumstances. The few city lords of Azure Sun County glared at Qin Haoran. This was only a grudge between the two forces. If it was a war, the 100 Sect Alliance would definitely be the first to betray them. "I will laugh at the sky with my blade in my hand. Leave behind the two Kunlun Mountains, Iron Bone Sect." A black-robed martial cultivator read the words on the wooden board with a disdainful smile. Kakik. Another black-robed martial cultivator laughed. Jun Changshao, what do you mean by building a spiritual altar and standing on it? The rules of the underworld. Jun Changshao said proudly, one-on-one. This was his idea. He wanted to use the rules of the underworld to issue a challenge to the evil sections. One-on-one. The two deicide hall martial kings laughed. Why? Jun Changshao said indifferently, the two of you don't dare to accept the challenge. Or do you think that my Iron Bones sect is too strong and you need to rely on numbers to eliminate it? Kakik. The elder with the surname Zhan laughed. Why would a small seventh-rate sect not dare to accept the challenge? Swoosh. Jun Changshao moved to the side and showed the three words Life and Death Arena. He said, I, Iron Bones Sect, will set up this Life and Death Arena today. I am willing to experience the skills of the evil sects of Huayang County. Kakik. Elder Zhan laughed sinisterly. I have been in the underworld for so many years, but I have never seen anyone set up a Life and Death Arena before their sect is destroyed. Since we are going to die anyway, why not die on the arena with more dignity? Jun Changshao said. That makes sense. Elder Zhan said, in that case, if we don't cooperate, we are not worthy of the underworld. Everyone. He laughed coldly and said, is there anyone willing to fight? My Point Star Valley is willing to fight first. A middle-aged man shouted. This man was called Wan Xiuxian, an elder of the sixth-rate Point Star Valley. His cultivation had already reached the third stage Wu zone. Under normal circumstances, he would definitely not stand out. However, this time, there were two deicide hall branch elders here. He must perform well and win the favor of the third-rate sect. Chapter 374. 20 evil sects, close to 10,000 disciples, and 2 martial kings leading them. With the sect protection array, Jun Changshao could completely hide in the sect and not fight them head-on. But it was only temporary. If the other party refused to leave and surrounded the mountain gate, the disciples would not be able to go out to train or cultivate. Therefore, he had to think of a way to solve this big problem. How to solve it? Jun Changshao thought of fighting in the arena. Perhaps some people would think that they were here to destroy the sect. Would they fight one-on-one with you? Yes. Especially a third-rate sect like the God Slaughtering Palace. Although it was an evil sect, it was still a member of the martial arts world. Since the sect leader of Iron Bone wanted to die in the arena, he would definitely die with dignity and fulfill his wish. Furthermore, there were so many martial cultivators from the Azure Sun County. It was a good opportunity for them to personally witness the cruel consequences of offending the evil sects of Huayang County. Elder Wan. The martial king surnamed Zhan said, you must take good care of this Iron Bone sect leader. Understood. Wan Xiuxian walked out and jumped onto the Life and Death Arena. He first glanced at Jun Changshao, then looked at the words on the wooden board. His eyes immediately filled with disdain. It was just a seventh-rate sect. He had made himself too unyielding, wasn't he? Jun Changshao ignored him and looked at the 2 martial kings, saying, this time, there will be 10 matches in the Life and Death Arena. If I, Iron Bone, lose 1 match, I will bring my disciples and commit suicide in front of the world. What? Sect leader Jun, you must not. Xie Guangquan and Ai Shangyao's expressions changed drastically. They knew that the disciples of Iron Bone were very strong, because they had already proven it when challenging the Sacred Spring sect. However, if they were to collectively commit suicide after losing a match, wouldn't that be too arrogant? Furthermore, there were still 2 martial kings. If they were to fight, they would be much stronger than Wuzong. How could they contend against them? Sect leader Jun, just as Xie Guangquan and Ai Shangyao opened their mouths, they heard Jun Changshao interrupt with a serious expression, I have already made up my mind. His attitude was very unyielding. Xie Guanghuan and Ai Shang shook their heads. Those city lords, clans, and itinerant cultivators who came to support Jun Changshao also had ugly expressions on their faces. If it was decided based on the number of wins and losses, it would still be understandable. However, this kind of condition where he had to commit suicide if he lost 1 out of 10 matches was clearly forcing him into a desperate situation. Humph, Qin Haoran thought to himself, he's really courting death. Although Shen Tong and Situ Wang looked expressionless, they were very happy in their hearts. They did not believe that the evil faction, with 2 martial kings in charge, would not be able to win at least 1 out of 10 matches. Kakik. Elder Zhan laughed strangely. Sect Master Jun knows that the sect must be annihilated today. Is that why you decided to play such an exciting battle on the arena? Jun Changshao said, life should be exciting. All right. Elder Zhan smiled and said, since sect leader Jun likes to play exciting games, we won't bully the weak. We will fight 10 rounds on the stage. If Iron Bone loses a round, he will lead his disciples to commit suicide. Of course. Jun Chang said with a smile, if my Iron Bone sect is lucky enough to win all 10 rounds, then I ask the 2 of you to leave with these evil sects and mind your own business. Lucky enough to win all 10 rounds? Elder Zhan smiled sinisterly. Do you think that's possible? Impossible. This was the unanimous thought of all the martial artists present. If 2 martial kings were to fight, Iron Bone would lose 2 rounds directly. The result would be all of them committing suicide. Jun Changshao said, do you dare to play? Elder Zhan smiled faintly and said, if Iron Bone is lucky enough to win all 10 rounds, then we will leave and mind our own business. All right. Jun Changshao cupped his fists and said, there are so many martial cultivators here. We will be the witnesses. Xie Guanghuan, Ai Shang, and the others' mouths twitched. Sect leader Jun played an exciting battle on the arena with Iron Bone's entire group committing suicide. Xiao Ziji. Jun Changshao shouted, you go first in the first round. Yes. Xiao Ziji went up to the life and death arena. That's a 3rd stage Wuzong. If they don't send an elder and send a disciple instead, they will lose the first round. As far as I know, Iron Bone doesn't have an elder. Since there are 10 rounds, then they must send a disciple. This Xiao Ziji may have performed well in the Sacred Spring sect, but he is only a martial master. How can he defeat a 3rd stage Wuzong? The martial artists of Qingyang County shook their heads. If they don't have an elder, then they can fight themselves. Sending a disciple to the arena was to lose on purpose. The martial cultivators of Huayang County sneered. They thought it would take a lot of time and effort to destroy Iron Bone. Now, as long as Star Point Valley's elder won the first round, they would all commit suicide. That would save them a lot of trouble. Sect leader Jun Xiuxian said disdainfully, sending a disciple to fight me, you are treating the lives of your entire sect as a joke. Cut the crap. Xiao Ziji said, let's start quickly. Although he said so, he was actually quite nervous. After all, this was his first time fighting with a 3rd stage Wuzong. Xiuxian sneered, since you are so eager to die, then I will send you to hell. Huff. The eviline attribute immediately spread out. The system said, this person is a 3rd stage middle stage Wuzong. His strength is about 180,000 pounds. 180,000, huh? Jun Changshao said to himself, sinful self should be able to win. If the martial artists present heard this, they would definitely break down. Big brother, your disciple is only a 6th or 7th stage martial master. Even if he is an extreme stage martial master, his strength is at most 180,000 pounds. How can he fight against a 180,000 pounds Wuzong? Huff! At this moment, Xiuxian's right hand formed a fist. The eviline attribute instantly spread out and punched toward Xiao Ziji. With the support of his martial technique, the strength of his punch instantly soared to 200,000 pounds. Swoosh! Xiao Ziji used the cloud-treading steps to dodge. However, just as he dodged, Wan Xiuxian's left fist came from a tricky angle. Bang! The fist that also carried 200,000 pounds of strength directly smashed onto Xiao Ziji's right shoulder. A ripple visible to the naked eye spread out on the stage. It's over. Many martial artists had this thought in their mind when they saw it. However, unbelievably, Xiao Ziji, who used his body to resist 200,000 pounds, only took 2 small steps back. There was no sign of pain on his face. Ha! Wan Xiuxian said in surprise, "You can still stand after taking this elder's evil shadow fist. Your body is quite strong." Huff! As he spoke, he rushed over. Huff! His left and right fists attacked at the same time, instantly forming a dense evil shadow fist, accompanied by gusts of cold wind. Bang! 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 It was difficult for Sinful Self to dodge, so he could only rely on his body to resist. When Wan Xiuxian stopped, when the dark energy dissipated, everyone's mouths suddenly opened. Because that iron bone disciple was still standing on the stage without a change in expression, giving people the feeling that it was not painful at all. Elder Wan. Elder Zhan frowned and said, "You are now representing the evil forces of Huayang County. Please take it seriously." The corner of Wan Xiuxian's mouth twitched. In order to show off in front of the 2 martial kings of the god-slaying palace, he had already used all his strength from the beginning. However, this iron bone disciple in front of him was simply a lump of iron that was difficult to deal with. Shwa! At this moment, Xiao Ziji used the cloud-treading steps and rushed over. His left hand was filled with exploding fist and his right hand was filled with mountain-splitting palm. Huff! The speed of his fist was very fast and his strength was very strong. The faces of all the experts present changed greatly. That iron bone disciple called Xiao Ziji was clearly only a 6th-grade martial master, but the power he unleashed was at least 200,000 pounds. Not good. Wan Xiuxian was shocked. Boom. PS, the second update. Tomorrow, I will resume my normal update and make up for it. Chapter 375. Many martial artists were not mistaken. The mountain-splitting palm that Xiao Zuiji used with his right hand had already reached a weight of 200,000 pounds. A 6th-grade martial master with strength comparable to a 3rd-grade mid-level wuzong was truly terrifying. However, Jun Changxiao's face was calm. Xiao Ziji's explosive strength was completely reasonable because he had already crushed the strength-increasing talisman that he had provided for him. Although it was refined from the talisman pavilion and could not be compared to the 5-fold strength-increasing talismans sold in the store, it could still increase his strength by 2 times. After returning from the Sacred Springs Sect, Xiao Ziji had entered the 6th grade from the 5th grade. His strength was around 90,000. So with the strength-increasing talisman and the mountain-splitting palm, it was easy to break 200,000 jin. He felt super good when he threw a punch. He felt good, but Wan Xiuxian, who could not dodge in time and was forced to retreat 6 or 7 steps, was dumbfounded. A 6th-grade martial master with strength not weaker than him. This was too scary. All the martial artists were staring with wide eyes. Even the 2 martial kings' eyes were filled with disbelief. Some martial artists were very talented and their strength far exceeded others in the same realm. This was understandable. But a 6th-grade martial master, even if it was at the superior level, could only reach 100,000 jin at most. Unbelievable, unbelievable. How on earth did that guy cultivate? No wonder sect leader Jun dared to let him fight. He has the strength comparable to a 3rd-grade wuzong. Everyone was shocked and disgusted. Xiao Ziji, who was in the life and death arena, felt the powerful strength. His eyes were burning and the blood in his body was boiling violently. Fight! This was his thought and he put it into action. He used the cloud-treading steps and rushed over again. He raised his hand and slashed. Wuxie crescent-shaped flowing light, carrying an explosive force, cut through the void and shot out explosively. Its strength reached 250,000 jin. This kind of spiritual martial technique was modified by a mysterious almighty person. It would become stronger as the user's strength increased. Wan Xiuxian saw this and his face changed greatly. Whoosh! He tried to dodge with his body technique. But before he could stabilize his body, he heard Xiao Ziji shout, I slash, I slash, I slash, 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 slash. Whoosh! 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 3 crescent-shaped flowing lights shot out from the sky, the air, and the ground, carrying a force of 250,000 jin. Everyone was dumbfounded. This kind of spiritual energy-type martial skill consumed a lot of spiritual energy. If he used it like this, wasn't he afraid that he would be paralyzed from exhaustion before he could finish off his opponent? Boom! While he was deep in thought, a loud explosion sounded. Although Wan Xiuxian dodged the first self-chop, he was still hit by the other 2 self-chop. Dang dang dang! He retreated rapidly, and when he stabilized his body at the edge of the arena with great difficulty, he couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Withstanding 2 powerful self-slashes at the same time, he could not avoid being injured. A martial master was able to make Wuzong vomit blood. How awesome! If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I would have found it hard to believe that there's someone capable of fighting above their cultivation realm. No wonder the Sacred Springs sect lost 74 matches in a row. The Iron Bone disciples are too strong. While everyone was discussing, Xiao Ziji launched another attack. He didn't use self-slash anymore. Instead, he chose to use mountain-splitting palm and rupturing fist in close combat. This made Wan Xiuxian feel much better. However, after a while, he realized that this Iron Bone disciple was getting braver and stronger the more he fought. What made it worse was, Wan Xiuxian tried to fight back, but no matter how he fought, his opponent could easily resolve it with his physical body. In the end, he was beaten up again. Although Xiao Zuiji was able to contend against a 3rd-rank martial great master with the help of the strength-increasing talisman, his physical body was truly tempered. You want to punch me? Sure. Then, I'll punch you again. Relying on his strong physical body and soft silk armor, Xiao Ziji didn't even open his seal shield. He attacked wildly, exposing his flaws. The corners of the martial artist's mouths twitched. Fighting was a kind of technical work. It was about moving, dodging, defending, and counterattacking. The Iron Bone disciple didn't need to defend at all and fought with open arms. He was completely a boorish man. The sect leader was reckless, and the disciple was also reckless. This was really if the heavens didn't give birth to him. Iron Bone, Meng Dao would be like a long night. Boom! 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 On the life and death arena, the 2 had already exchanged dozens of blows. The process wasn't complicated, and it wasn't dazzling. You punch me, I punch you back, and they don't owe each other anything. Xiao Ziji, with his strong defense, could withstand it, but Wan Xiuxian, with his ordinary physical body, was in a tragic situation. Because he was hit more than 20 times, and his injuries were getting worse. From the current situation, he was already at a disadvantage. No, no! He had to change his strategy, or he would definitely lose. Ah! Wan Xiuxian roared angrily, and his body was suddenly surrounded by the dark attribute. Demonic change! Someone exclaimed, a high-grade demonic sect mental cultivation technique. A high-grade demonic sect mental cultivation technique? Hearing this, everyone's face changed. A high-grade demonic sect mental cultivation technique was already very precious, and it was used by the demonic sect, so it was even rarer. When this Star Valley elder used it, his strength would definitely increase qualitatively. Peng! At this time, an explosion came from the life and death arena. Wan Xiuxian staggered out of the dark attribute, and a bright red fist mark appeared on the right side of his face. This was a punch to the face. Damn it! Wan Xiuxian was furious. When he was about to roar and use his trump card, Xiao Ziji walked out of the fog and punched him. This time, he didn't give him a chance to breathe at all. Boom! 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 Xiao Ziji's fist carried a violent force, and it hit Wan Xiuxian's arms again and again, and he staggered back. The stronger martial artists could see that the Star Valley Elder had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. At this moment, even if he used his trump card, it would be difficult to reverse the situation. Sect leader. Xiao Ziji said telepathically, let him die or leave him alive. While fighting in the life and death arena, he could still divert his attention to send telepathic messages. This was really amazing. Leave him half alive. Jun Changshao said telepathically. Although it was a battle of life and death, if Wan Xiuxian was killed, it would definitely anger the demonic sect of Huayang County, and make him more passive, so he took the gentle route first. Understood. Xiao Ziji continued to bombard Wan Xiuxian, who kept retreating, and his face became paler. The meridians and internal organs in his body couldn't withstand such a hard fight. It was time to end the battle. Xiao Ziji took a step forward and swung his right hand directly, blasting the retreating Wan Xiuxian out of the life and death arena. When he fell heavily to the ground, blood kept spurting out. Xiao Ziji cupped his hands proudly and said, "Thank you for letting me win." Everyone was shocked. A rank 3 Wuzong was defeated so quickly and seriously injured. It was unexpected. Sorry. Jun Changshao went up to the life and death arena and cupped his hands. Our sect won the first battle by luck. This was considered luck. There was no such thing as luck in the world. Chapter 376. Xiao Zui was the winner of the first battle. He also followed the sect master's order and beat Wan Xiuxian until he was half dead. From the way he spat out blood, it would be hard for him to get out of bed without 3 to 5 months of rest. Elder Zhan frowned and said, "What a piece of trash." Wah! Wan Xiuxian spat out another mouthful of blood. He wanted to show off in front of the 2 deicide temple elders, but he ended up in such a miserable state. Elder Zhan was very surprised that Xiao Zui was able to defeat the Elder of Point Star Valley, but that was all because he could easily defeat such a level of martial arts practitioner. The martial artists were not surprised, but they were shocked. Especially Alliance Master Qin and the elders of the Alliance. Their faces were ugly. Xiao Ziji's victory over the Elder of Star Point Valley gave them a sense of déjà vu. Thinking about it carefully, they realized that it was the Iron Bone challenging the Sacred Spring Sect. At that time, the people of the 100 Sect Alliance believed that the Iron Bone disciples would be defeated by the Sacred Spring Sect disciples. But in the end, they were slapped in the face with victory after victory. Now that he defeated the Elder of Star Point Valley, it was also a slap in the face. The martial artists who came to help were not only shocked, but also overjoyed. Although there were still 9 battles to be fought, at least Iron Bone had won the first battle. Jun Changshao said, "Send someone for the second battle." Brother Zhan. Another martial king said, "Why don't you go up and spar with the disciples of Iron Bone?" "That's what I was thinking." Elder Zhan smiled sinisterly. He did not want to waste too much time in Azure Sun County. As long as he won the first battle and witnessed all the disciples of Iron Bone commit suicide, he could return to the sect to cultivate in peace. Swoosh! Elder Zhan jumped up and landed on the life and death ring. He said proudly with his hands behind his back, "Sect Master Jun, are you going to fight yourself or send your disciples?" "It's over, it's over." The martial artists of Azure Sun County had ugly expressions. This was the martial king of the Deicide Temple. As long as he went up the life and death ring, no one in Iron Bone would be qualified to fight him. What awaited sect leader Jun and his disciples after losing a battle was collective suicide. The system said, rank 1 martial king, high level. Only a rank 1 martial king. Jun Changshao said, "I won't fight and neither will my disciples." "Who will fight?" "Me." A lazy voice came from below the stage. Elder Zhan and the others hurriedly turned their gazes over. A middle-aged man yawned as he walked over. This person's attire was somewhat similar to that of the Iron Bone disciples. For example, they were both very bright and eye-catching. However, that guy's eyes were still half-closed, as if he was still asleep. Elder Jean frowned. He instantly determined that this person was also a martial king. "This is?" Elder Jean asked. The middle-aged man stopped in front of Jun Changshao and yawned. He introduced himself, "I'm Jiang Bujian, the elder of Iron Bone clan. You must be the same as me. You've only heard of Jianghu meet again, but you've never heard of Jiangbu see you again. You don't even change your surname?" Jun Changshao asked through telepathy. "There are as many cultivators with the surname Jiang as there are grains of sand in Ganges. The fiend demon sect will definitely not think that I'm Jiangya," the middle-aged man replied. It turned out that Jiangya was Jiang Bujian. The middle-aged man's appearance was naturally due to his disguise. Although he was an elder of the Iron Bone clan, he was still working part-time in the fiend demon sect's branch. He couldn't show his real face and name. "Jiang Bujian." Elder Jean thought for a while and said, "Brother Gua, have you heard of this martial king before? Have you seen him before?" Martial king. The evil cultivators of Qingyang County and Huayang County all widened their eyes when they heard this. Many people were already surprised that the Iron Bone clan had an elder. They never thought that this elder would be a martial king. Alliance Master Qin and the Alliance members were dumbfounded. Of course, they didn't think that the God-slaying Hall elder was joking. Then, this lazy middle-aged man was undoubtedly a martial king. A seventh-rate sect has an elder with martial king cultivation. Isn't this too inconceivable? The evil cultivators couldn't accept it. If it was a sixth-rate or fifth-rate sect, it would be understandable to have a martial king elder. But for a seventh-rate sect to have such an expert, it was definitely very explosive. Looking at the expressions on everyone's faces, Jun Changshao thought, "My Iron Bone clan has a martial king. Is there a need to be so surprised?" Martial King Gua shook his head and said, "I've never seen or heard of him." Jiangya said, "I'm from Lu Prefecture in the northeast. Naturally, you've never seen or heard of him. So that's how it is." Elder Jean laughed strangely and said, "A small seventh-rate sect can recruit a martial king from Lu Prefecture in the northeast as an elder. It's really surprising." It was more than surprising. It was simply too surprising. The 20 evil cultivators secretly rejoiced. Fortunately, the God-slaying Hall had sent 2 martial kings. Otherwise, there would be countless casualties if this big guy came over. Martial king. The king of martial Dao. An expert of this level, in front of a martial disciple, martial master, or even Wuzong, was definitely an insurmountable mountain. "Stop talking nonsense," Jiangya said impatiently, "hurry up and start. After this elder still needs to go to sleep." Because his opponent was also a martial king, Elder Jean put away his contempt and his gaze became abnormally solemn. Swish! With a wave of his hand, a sinister and terrifying evil aura erupted. The momentum could be said to be vast. As expected of a martial king-level evil cultivator, in terms of aura and attributes, it was not something that a third-stage Wuzong like Wan Xiuxian could compare to. However, just as Elder Jean was about to make a move, Jiangya used the cloud-treading steps and instantly approached. He had learned most of the cultivation techniques in Iron Bone, and his understanding was much stronger than the disciples. It could be seen from the way he used the cloud-treading steps. His martial arts were strong, and his understanding of martial arts was also high. Therefore, his comprehension of cultivation techniques was definitely not something that low-level martial artists could compare to. For example, Yi Xingchen. His understanding of Iron Bone's various cultivation techniques was far superior to that of Jun Changshao. Unfortunately, although he was proficient in the cultivation techniques, his cultivation could not improve. If Yi Xingchen was also a martial king, he would definitely be stronger than Jiangya if he used the sect's cultivation techniques at the same time. After all, he was once one of the 10 great martial emperors. His martial arts experience was rich. In the entire Falling Star continent, only the other 9 martial emperors could compete with him. Boom! Jiang Ye quickly approached and without saying anything, he used the mountain-splitting palm. This kind of middle-grade high-grade martial skill, when executed in his hands, the power was naturally extraordinary. Thump, thump, thump. Elder Zhan staggered back a few steps and said in shock, You are a second-stage martial king. When experts exchanged blows, the difference between them was obvious. Otherwise? Jiang Ye appeared behind him and punched out with his right fist filled with 2 million gene of strength. His strong attributes exploded, and the space became distorted, as if it was about to be torn apart. Rumble. Elder Zhan did not have time to react before he was hit in the back. He was pushed back from the center of the life and death arena to the edge. His body immediately felt intense pain. One move was over. The fist print was left in the space, as if it was frozen. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. What kind of terrifying strength could shake the space and cause the fist print to freeze and not dissipate? Chapter 377. After becoming an Iron Bone Elder for the past 2 months, Jiang Ye's strength had greatly increased even though he was still a rank 2 martial king. To be exact. Not long ago, he was only a high-rank martial king. Now that he had taken the body-shaping pill and gone through the shaping room and training tower, he had reached the extreme level. Although Elder Zhan was a high-rank 1 martial king, his evil sect's cultivation technique was very strong. He could unleash a strength of 1.6 million gene. This strength was comparable to that of a high-rank 2 martial king. Unfortunately, facing Jiang Xia, a second-grade martial king who could casually unleash a force of over 2 million gene, he could only be described as weak. Thus, when he threw the second punch, he was almost knocked off the stage. His entire body was in pain. Swoosh! Jiang Ye appeared again and threw a punch. Boom! The sound of an explosion was heard again, shaking the hearts of the crowd. Elder Zhan, who had a "I'm awesome" expression just now, was punched from left to right by Jiang Ye. He had no strength to resist at all. In a battle between martial artists, a difference of 10,000 gene was enough to determine the outcome. A difference of 400,000 gene between martial kings could be described as a great disparity in strength. Boom! Boom! Jiang Ye continued to attack, beating Elder Zhan until he was running in circles on the stage. The corners of the spectators' mouths twitched. A martial king could beat another martial king to such a state. How great was the disparity in strength? Jun Changshao was also speechless. This god-slaying hall elder had been laughing non-stop since he arrived. He thought that he was a very strong person, but he did not expect him to be such a weakling. Elder Zhan was actually not weak. If it was another rank 2 martial king, he would definitely be able to fight back and forth with them. However, he just had to meet an extreme rank 2 martial king. The disparity in strength was not something that could be made up with the evil sect's cultivation technique. Even if Elder Gua, who was a rank 2 martial king, went on stage, he would still be beaten up by Jiang Ye. That was because he was also a high-rank martial king like Elder Zhan. Why don't you fight back? Boom! Why don't you laugh at me? Boom! Every time our Elder Jiang spoke a sentence, he would throw out a punch, making Elder Zhan dizzy. This was absolutely crushing. Jun Changshao couldn't stand it anymore. He transmitted his voice, just beat him up casually. Don't go overboard. If killing the deicide hall elder could solve the current problem, he would definitely let Jiang Ye kill him. But in reality, if they continued to abuse each other mercilessly on the life and death arena, it would only increase the other party's hatred and make the conflict between them even greater. Sigh. He was still too weak. If he and his disciples' cultivation were strong enough, they could act tough without any qualms. After receiving the sect master's order, Jiang Ye gave up on the idea of trampling on Elder Zhan. Instead, he punched Elder Zhan's abdomen and threw him out of the life and death ring. His strength was just right. Elder Zhan staggered and landed on the ground. Although he felt pain all over his body, he did not suffer any serious internal injuries. He would recover after a few days of rest. Ding! Congratulations to the host for completing the hidden mission, Worlds Apart. You have gained 500 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 2770500. After hearing the notification, Jun Changshao immediately beamed with joy. During this period of time, the system did not release any side missions. Even when 2 martial kings came with 10,000 evil cultivators, it did not trigger them. However, there was a hidden mission. Who knows, this thing might just be completed inexplicably. For example, the hidden mission, Worlds Apart, made Jun Changshao angry and confused. The system explained, although that person is only a rank 1 martial king, he is an evil cultivator. His strength cannot be underestimated. Jiangye was able to completely crush him. This is the difference between heaven and earth. Jun Changshao said, I used to crush many opponents in the past. Why didn't I complete it? The system said, some hidden missions are not necessarily related to the host. Instead, they require the sect's members to fulfill the requirements. That's not right. Jun Changshao said, Qingyang and the others also crushed their opponents. Why didn't they complete it? The system broke down. The mission was completed and the reward was given. Why did you keep asking questions? Was your brain kicked by a donkey? Sect leader Jun was not kicked by a donkey. He was infected by Shengguan Xinyao. If you don't understand, you have to ask. The system was speechless. Some hidden missions may require the sect's members to fulfill the requirements. I see. Jun Changshao understood now. The cultivators of Qingyang County were the happiest when Jiangye crushed Elder Zhan. At this moment, they finally understood why the sect leader dared to set up the life and death arena. He dared to fight 10 rounds and would commit suicide if he lost one. There was such a powerful elder. To be honest, they had no doubt that if 10,000 evil cultivators were to join hands, they would be slaughtered until the ground was littered with corpses and blood flowed like a river. The evil cultivators of Huayang County trembled. They rejoiced that the sect leader of Iron Bone had chosen to settle the grudge with the life and death arena. Otherwise, they would have become cold corpses by now. As for the ones with the worst expressions, it was naturally Qin Haoren and the others. They thought that the Iron Bone would be destroyed. Who would have thought that a martial king who could crush an elder of the Godslayer Temple would appear? They did not see a joke in the Holy Spring sect. Instead, they were slapped in the face again and again. Now, they were even more afraid. Because the Iron Bone disciples were strong and they had an elder of the martial king realm, they could do whatever they wanted in Qingyang County. Jiangye, who was standing on the stage, looked at the other martial king of the Godslayer Temple and said proudly, "Do you want to come up and fight with me?" Elder Guo's mouth twitched. When he was watching the battle earlier, he could already tell that this Iron Bone sect elder was definitely an extreme second-grade martial king. If he went up on stage to fight, he would definitely be defeated. Sect leader Jun Elder Zhan suppressed the pain in his body and said, 10 battles. Isn't it 1 battle per person? Being beaten up by Jiang Xia made him feel very embarrassed. However, he also realized that with such a strong martial king, it would be difficult to destroy the Iron Bone sect. However, since that guy said that he would kill himself if he lost 1 battle, he would not let it go. At first, he agreed to the life and death arena because he felt that the strong were giving charity to the weak. Now, he was eager to fight 10 battles. Only then could he destroy the Iron Bone. Jun Changshao said, 10 battles. 1 battle per person. Xie Guanquan and Ai Shang rolled their eyes. Sect leader Jun, before the battle, you didn't say that 1 person could fight more than 1 battle. Now that there is a strong elder, let him fight all 8 battles. Everything will be fine. Jun Changshao also wanted to let Jiangye fight all the battles. However, it would be a waste if he didn't let the other disciples fight. Since each person can only fight 1 battle, I would like to see what the Iron Bone is capable of. Elder Guo jumped onto the life and death arena. Everyone's mouth twitched. Just now, the Iron Bone Elder called you by name, but you pretended not to hear. Now that the rules say that each person can only fight one battle, you immediately jumped out. Do you still have the demeanor of a strong cultivator? Ding! Side mission activated. Damn it! Finally, the side mission came. Jun Changshao hurriedly opened the system panel and saw that the side mission was defeat the Deicide Temple Elder Gua Digang in 1 minute, elite mission. Note, if the requirement is not met within the time limit, the mission will fail. After reading it, Jun Changshao's eyes almost popped out. He said, "Are there 2 zeros behind the 1? The system said, "No, it's 1 minute." Chapter 378. The side mission hadn't been triggered for a long time. The last time was when he brought Yixingchen to Pingyang County to participate in the Sect competition. Murdering God Temple's Elder Gua jumped onto the life and death arena. It was finally triggered again, and it was an elite level mission. However, this mission was a bit fucked up. Jun Changshao broke down. Do you think it's possible for me to defeat a martial king in 60 seconds? Impossible. The system said decisively. The reason why Jiang Xia was able to defeat Elder Zhan was because he was a rank 2 martial king. What about Jun Changshao? Even if he was a rank 2 superior Wuzong, his combat strength was at most 350,000 jin. Elder Guo was a rank 2 martial king. He could casually attack with 1.6 million jin. The difference between the two was close to 5 times. There was no way to fight. Since it's impossible. Jun Changshao broke down. Then what's the value of this mission? The system said, the more impossible the mission is, the more generous the reward if the host completes it. Jun Changshao rolled his eyes. He naturally knew that the harder the mission, the greater the reward after completion. The key was, how was he going to complete it? Sigh. Jun Changshao thought, I can only use the mid-grade strength increasing talisman. After completing Death Valley's epic mission 2, he received a mid-grade strength increasing talisman. He hadn't used it yet. The system said, the mid-grade strength increasing talisman can increase the host's strength by 10 times. 10 times? Jun Changshao's eyes burned. With his current strength, he would have more than 3 million jin of strength after using it. He could definitely smash a rank 2 martial king. However, the system said, if the physical body isn't strong, there will be a long side effect after the time limit expires. How long is the time limit? 60 minutes. 1 minute to deal with this martial king. 59 minutes to deter the evil faction of Huayang County. This should be enough to solve the problem. After some calculations, Jun Changshao clasped his hands and said, since that's the case, I'll compete with this murdering God Temple expert. Although the mission didn't say that the host had to solve it, at this time, he had to fight the second martial king of the murdering God Temple. Sect Master Jun wants to fight personally. To be able to defeat the Patriarch of the Holy Springs Sect, Sect leader Jun is indeed very strong. Can he be stronger than that Elder Jiang? Everyone discussed in low voices. Xie Guangquan and Ai Shang were thinking that since the Iron Bones sect had a martial king elder, they might have some other unfathomable experts. But they didn't expect that sect leader Jun would fight in the 3rd round. To be honest, it was a little difficult. But it wasn't a big problem. Sect leader Jun still had the artifact Spirit Saber, Sect Master Jun. Elder Gua said, let's decide the winner with our fists. Sure, Jun Changshao said. The corners of Xie Guangquan and Ai Shang's mouths twitched. They were still thinking that sect leader Jun might have a chance of winning if he used his weapon Spirit Saber. But now, he was fighting a martial king barehanded. No matter how they looked at it, there was no chance of winning. At this time, Alliance Chief Qin and the other Alliance members should be laughing at him. It was strange. They were all honest and didn't even have the slightest bit of psychological activity. The Iron Bones sect had a martial king who had brutally beaten up the Deicide Hall elder. The impact was too great for them, so they forgot that they came here to watch a joke. What joke was there to watch? That Iron Bones sect was so strong. If they angered that guy and brought the elder to their sect, being beaten up was a small matter, but being destroyed was a big matter. When a person's strength was still within the acceptable range, everyone would still look down on them. But when a person's strength reached a higher level, to the point where they couldn't be touched, they could only look up to them. For example, in the same village, if someone had some money, lived in a bungalow and drove a small car, the neighbors would be jealous in private and would point fingers at them. Hey, that kid still wet his bed when he was 7. I used to play with him, but I didn't think he was that promising. After a period of time, someone had countless enterprises and listed companies. His wealth was comparable to that of a country. The neighbors who used to point fingers at him would definitely all become mutes. Because this kind of rich person was undoubtedly a towering mountain in front of them. They could only look up and didn't dare to cross it. Iron Bones sect was like this. Although it had been getting stronger, Qin Haoran and the alliance members always thought that its strength was just an accident, that it was just luck. Now, the disciples could defeat Wuzong, and the elders could trample on martial kings. They had become existences that they could only look up to. On the life and death arena, Jun Changshao and Elder Guo were 10 meters apart. They were already prepared for battle. He's a bit reckless. Lu Qianqian frowned. The sect leader, with his cultivation of rank 2 Wuzong, challenged a rank 2 martial king. The difficulty was too high. There was absolutely no hope. Of course. In this period of time, she knew that although the sect leader was sometimes reckless, he never did things that he wasn't confident in. So, she was secretly looking forward to his brilliant performance. Unlike the eldest senior sister's worries, Li Qingyang and the others had absolute admiration for the sect leader. Since he dared to challenge a martial king, he definitely had absolute confidence. Aha! On the tree, little Long Long yawned. A trace of depression appeared in his eyes. The second martial king. Why didn't Master let him fight? Jun Changshao also wanted to let him fight, but the so-called dragonized battle form, which was neither human nor beast, would definitely scare children. Below the life and death ring, all the cultivators were also watching intently. The atmosphere in this area was slightly solemn. Sect leader Jun Elder Guo said indifferently, "You can start now." Wait a moment. As Jun Changshao spoke, he secretly crushed the mid-tier strength increase talisman. Huff huff. In an instant, a terrifying energy burst out from his dantian. Then, like a tide, it surged toward all the meridians in his body. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Jun Changshao felt that every muscle and every meridian in his body contained an even greater power than before. His eyes were filled with an intense fighting spirit. Elder Guo frowned. The moment Jun Changshao's power surged, an ominous feeling rose in his heart. A rank 2 martial ancestor realm cultivator without any weapons. How could he have such thoughts? Was it because the elder of the Iron Bone faction was too strong? Elder Guo smiled. You can start now, Jun Changshao said. When he said the word start, the 1-minute time shown on the side mission suddenly became 59 seconds. Obviously, it had started and entered the countdown stage. Swoosh! At this moment, Elder Guo rushed over with his movement technique. Huff huff! A powerful evil aura burst out from his body and gradually condensed into an illusory human figure. Demon statue! A cultivator exclaimed. The figure gradually materialized, like a carved stone statue, emitting an evil aura that made people fear it. Huff huff! Suddenly, the demon statue stretched out one hand and mercilessly attacked Jun Changshao. The force it carried instantly rose to 2 million jin. Elder Zhan's mouth twitched. Facing a second stage Wuzong, Brother Guo used his trump card right from the start. Wasn't he being too serious? Elder Guo's move was to end the battle quickly. Ta! However, facing the demon statue's palm, Sect leader Jun took a step forward. His eyes shone with excitement as he waved his right fist and attacked. Ka ka ka, as he punched out, the space around him crackled and popped. When one's strength reached a certain level, the punch could produce the sound of wind breaking. When it was a little stronger, it could stir up the wind. When it was a little stronger, it could stir up the space. Oh my God! Hearing the sound that gave people goosebumps, everyone was dumbfounded. Their hearts were in turmoil. Impossible! Elder Guo's face changed greatly. The faint ominous feeling he had before expanded infinitely the moment Jun Changxiao's fist came. Chapter 40. Chapter 379. When Jun Changxiao's fist came crashing down, an intense ominous feeling instantly surged into Elder Guo's knowledge sea, causing his complexion to change greatly. Even the magic colossus, which was 2 to 3 meters tall, looked abnormally small in front of the incoming fist. Whoosh whoosh! The wind howled and dust flew everywhere. The spectators held their breaths. Their hearts were filled with shock. What kind of strength was this to create such a powerful aura? Jiangya, who had just stepped down from the stage, felt the powerful energy fluctuation. His expression froze. This aura, this strength. It was definitely more than 1,000,000 genes stronger than his. With the support of the 10 times strength amplification talisman, the strength of Jun Changxiao's fist had increased from 350,000 gene to 3.5 million gene. What did that mean? Even a mid-level peak martial king could only reach 250,000 gene. The battle prowess that Jun Changxiao had unleashed was equivalent to that of an advanced rank 8 martial king in the Falling Star continent. It was no wonder that Elder Guo, who was an advanced rank 2 martial king, felt a strong sense of foreboding in his heart when facing such strength. I'm going to die, I'm going to die. This was the thought that came to Elder Guo's mind in a split second. Boom! In the blink of an eye, Jun Changxiao's fist, which was imbued with immense power, landed on the golem's palm and smashed it into smithereens. Pfft! Elder Guo vomited blood on the spot. However, Jun Changxiao's fist was like a hot knife through butter. It completely destroyed the golem's body. Elder Guo's attack was forcefully broken. The backlash was huge. Not only did he vomit blood again, but his meridians were also greatly damaged. If that was all, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, what made him despair was that Jun Changxiao's fist was still coming. The strength it carried was still extremely terrifying. It's over. Elder Guo howled in his heart. Boom! In the end, Jun Changxiao's fist, which seemed to be able to tear space apart, landed on Elder Guo's abdomen. Bang! The clothes on Elder Guo's back were torn apart. A red fist print could be seen on his exposed skin. A ripple of energy visible to the naked eye instantly spread out and extended for thousands of meters. All the martial artists below the stage felt that domineering aura, and all of them were trembling in fear. They couldn't tell how powerful the energy was, but without a doubt, if it hit them, they would definitely die. That wasn't the point. The point was, what happened to Elder Guo? Everyone gradually calmed down. They looked at the life and death ring, where was Jun Changxiao was standing. Elder Guo was nowhere to be seen. Where was he? Could it be that it had been blasted into smithereens? Plop! At that moment, the sound of the crowd. Calm! Everyone hurriedly turned their heads to look. On the grass hundreds of meters away, Elder Guo was lying on the ground like a puddle of mud, his body twitching violently. Of the crowd, Jiang Xia was speechless. The sect leader had just said that it was fine to torture Elder Guo casually. But when it was his turn, he was so heavy-handed. In fact, Jun Changxiao had retracted a lot of his strength when he hit Elder Guo. Otherwise, Elder Guo wouldn't be twitching on the ground. Instead, his stomach would be ripped open. Ding! Side mission completed. Host receives 1,000 contribution points. Ding! Sect contribution points, 3770500. It actually gave him 1,000 contribution points. However, it didn't seem worth it to earn 1,000 contribution points with such a powerful strength enhancement talisman. Ding! Congratulations on completing the side mission and triggering the hidden reward. Received Supreme Grade Talent Enhancement Elixir X1 and Sword Dao Talent Enhancement Elixir X1. It has been transferred to the spatial ring. Jun Changshao was stunned. Then, he was overjoyed. He thought that the hidden reward would only be given when he completed the hidden mission. He didn't expect the side mission to give it too. The Supreme Grade Talent Enhancement Elixir was good. Sword Dao Talent Enhancement Elixir was even better. The system said, using a middle grade Strength Enhancement Talisman in exchange for 1,000 contribution points and 2 bottles of Spirit Root and Sword Dao Talent Enhancement Elixir. Do you think it's worth it? Worth it. Jun Changshao said, super worth it. If there weren't so many people present, he might have taken out the Sword Dao Talent Enhancement Elixir and drank it on the spot. Swoosh! Jun Changshao clasped his fist and said, thank you for letting me win. Everyone's mouth twitched. Sending a rank 2 martial king flying a few hundred meters with one punch and making him unable to stand up. This Iron Bones sect leader was really strong. Elder Zhan's face was extremely ugly. He and Guo Digang both wanted to end the battle quickly. In the end, one was miserably beaten up and the other was instantly killed. Elder Zhan. Jun Changshao said, send someone up. They had only fought 3 rounds. There were still 7 rounds left. Even if they fought 2 in 1 chapter, they could happily write 3.5 chapters. Everyone. Elder Zhan said in a deep voice, who will fight? The 20 upper echelons of the evil sects were all silent. They now realized that although Iron Bone was only a 7th-rate sect, their sect leader, elders, and disciples were all very strong. If they went up, they would definitely be beaten up. After 3 rounds, Iron Bone's momentum was very strong. On the contrary, the morale of the evil sects in Huayang County had hit rock bottom. Everyone. Seeing that no one said anything, Elder Zhan said coldly, are you afraid of Iron Bone? I'll fight. A 6th-rate evil sect elder stood up. His cultivation was higher than Wan Xiuxian's, but only by 1 rank. Qingyang. Jun Changshao said, you fight. Yes. Li Qingyang went up the life and death ring. Brother Yang will win. Young Master will win. Below the ring, the Li family's direct descendants and servants all cheered. Although the Li family's patriarch was very worried, when he saw Li Qingyang standing there proudly, a sense of pride appeared on his face. Everyone look, this is my son. After he joined Iron Bone, he first defeated the inner disciple of Holy Spring Sect in Spirit Spring Mountain, then defeated the pro-disciple of Haoqi Sect in Noble Spirit Mountain, and finally defeated the pro-disciple of Holy Spring Sect in Holy Spring Mountain. As a father, I'm proud. Let's start. Jun Changshao acted as the referee. Swoosh! The evil sect master was the first to attack. Li Qingyang did not hesitate to crush the talisman and use the cloud steps to deal with him. He and Xiao Zuiji were both level 6 martial masters, but their strength was a level higher. Furthermore, their development was balanced, so it was more than enough to deal with a level 4 martial great master. Boom! Boom! The two quickly fought for dozens of moves, and from the situation, they were evenly matched. But all the experts could see that the Iron Bone disciple's fighting style was much more stable than the previous disciple. As long as there were no major flaws or mistakes, winning this fight should not be a problem. Xiao Ziji's advantage was that his physical body was very strong. His fighting style was to attack without hesitation. At most, you hit me once, I'll take it and then hit you again. Li Qingyang was different. His physical defense was weak, but he was very balanced in all aspects. So when he fought with others, he did not have any outstanding points, nor did he have any major weaknesses. He fought very steadily. Of course. Our chief steward Li's physical defense was weak, but it was only limited to Xiao Ziji, this muscle demon. Compared to other martial cultivators, he was still very strong. Pang! 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 The evil sect master took the opportunity and immediately used a dazzling fist technique. In the end, not only did he not hurt Li Qingyang, he was hit several times by his mountain-splitting palm. Everyone's mouth twitched. The guy called Xiao Ziji was already very good at taking a beating. Why was the second disciple also so good at taking a beating? -5. Chapter 380. Li Qingyang was good at both offense and defense, and he had the strength-increasing talisman. How could the fourth-rank Wuzong win? If his defense was also strong, he could continue to wear him down. But he didn't have the forging room or the experience tower to temper himself. So as long as he was hit, he would definitely be unlucky. Bang! Bang! Li Qingyang used the cloud-treading steps and went behind the evil master. He punched out with both fists and pushed him back again. End the battle quickly. Jun Changshao transmitted. Yes. Upon receiving the order, Li Qingyang took advantage of the opportunity to pursue and attack. Bang bang bang. Mountain-splitting palm and exploding fist were used one after another, directly knocking the evil master off the stage and falling next to Wan Xiuxian. Everyone's mouth twitched. Iron Bone disciples were really fierce. Torturing a third-rank or fourth-rank Wuzong was like playing Sect Master. Suddenly, Jun Changshao heard a voice. I'm back. Who was back? Yi Xingqian. This guy slipped down the mountain to train first. He was in the mood to kill ferocious beasts when he suddenly received the Drizzle Hall's message. Knowing that 20 evil sects were attacking the sect, he hurried over. Of course. Knight Emperor didn't think it was because he cared about Iron Bone. He just thought that such a carefree place to train must not be destroyed. In short, with Yi Xingqian's personality, he would never admit that he had feelings for Iron Bone. This kind of feeling was slowly built up through cultivation and contact with fellow sect members. Although it was still very weak, it really existed. You came just in time. Jun Changshao said, fight on stage later. As he spoke, he walked up the stage and said, please send someone to fight in the 5th round. Elder Zhan's eyes were gloomy. He said, is there anyone else willing to fight? He could see it. This Iron Bone disciple was strong, so he dared to fight 10 rounds. But he didn't believe that he could win 10 rounds in a row without losing one. This old man will do it. A hunchbacked old man stepped forward. He was the strongest of the 12 Wuzongs, and his cultivation was the highest. He had already reached the peak of Wuzong. The system said, intermediate level peak Wuzong, strength around 260,000 Jin. Xingqian. Jun Changshao said, let's go. Ta. Yi Xingqian, who had just returned and was standing with his fellow disciples, stepped forward and looked at the old man who looked to be around 67 years old with disdain. This person was almost 200 years old, and he was only at the peak of Wuzong. His talent must be average, and it would be difficult for him to break through to Martial King in this lifetime. Martial cultivators with ordinary aptitude could reach Wuzong through hard work. However, that was the limit. There was almost no hope for them to become a martial king. Nothing was absolute. Some people might be able to break through with the help of heavenly treasures or some kind of irreplicable opportunity. But there were very few of them. Therefore, in the martial king level, there was basically no ordinary or intermediate level. As long as one could enter it, they had to start from the advanced level. Standing in the middle of the life and death ring, Yi Xingqian said indifferently, trash. Everyone's mouth twitched. He dared to say that a peak of Wuzong was trash. This guy seemed to be even more arrogant than the previous 2 disciples. The evil sect master's eyes were cold. He said, today, this old man will obliterate you, and let the Iron Bone all commit suicide in front of everyone. Old man. Yi Xingqian said indifferently, stop dreaming. Although he said that, he secretly crushed the strength-increasing talisman. Whoosh whoosh. A strong force spread out from his body, shocking him. He was secretly shocked. It's just a talisman, and it gave me so much power. How terrifying. It was only twice. If Night Emperor used 5 times, or even 10 times, he would be shocked to the point of doubting his life. To be honest, if Yi Xingqian had eaten some kind of pill, he could still understand. However, a piece of yellow paper gave him twice the power. It definitely subverted his understanding of martial arts. This must be a talisman from the upper realm that was strengthened by some kind of Dao technique. Begin. Jun Changshao said. Whoosh! Yi Xingqian, whose strength had increased, could not wait to make the first move. Whoosh whoosh! He used the rupturing fist, and a gust of wind swept up. The strength of his attack directly hit 250,000 pounds. Peak of Wuzong saw this and his expression changed. He instinctively chose to dodge. If it was Li Qingyang or Xiao Ziji, he could definitely dodge. However, he was facing Yi Xingqian, a former martial emperor. Dodge? He hid behind his fist. Bang! Yi Xingqian's fist, which seemed to have no blind spots, directly hit the evil sect master's face. Not only was his head knocked to the side, 2 bloody front teeth flew out. Hiss! Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This kind of punching style of hitting half of the opponent's face with one punch was simply too valiant. Thump thump thump. Peak of Wuzong staggered back. The left side of his face was red and swollen. Swoosh! Yi Xingqian appeared on the other side and used the mountain-splitting palm to hit the other half of his face. 2 moves were over. Peak of Wuzong's face was swollen like a pig's head. He looked very miserable. This was just the beginning. What awaited him was Yi Xingqian's storm-like destruction. Bang! 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 In the life and death arena, Peak of Wuzong was like a spinning top. He was constantly being tortured. In the end, Sect leader Jun could not stand it anymore. He said telepathically, "Don't torture him to death. Quickly get off the arena and end the battle." Yi Xingqian, who wanted to continue, could only punch Peak of Wuzong off the arena. Once again, he felt the double strength brought by the strength-increasing talisman. He could not calm down. This talisman is too magical. Xiao Ziji's recklessness, Li Qingyang's steadiness, and Yi Xingqian's attack just now could be called tyrannical. 3 disciples went out and won 3 rounds. This made all the martial artists realize that the Iron-Boned sect was really full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. They could not be underestimated. Continue fighting, Elder Zhan said in a low voice. Therefore, another evil sect expert took the initiative to fight. Jun Changshao would decide which disciple to fight based on the opponent's strength. In the 6th round, Su Xiaoma used his speed and double strength to kick a mid-stage 8th stage Wuzong around the arena. In the 7th round, a sword cultivator, Zhou Hong, came out. The 2 of them talked for a long time and finished the battle easily with the linear speed technique. In the 8th round, Li Fei came out. His opponent was only a mid-stage 7th stage Wuzong. It was easy for him to defeat him. In the 9th round, Tian Qi had an even easier time because his opponent was only a mid-stage 5th stage Wuzong. In just 20 minutes, they fought 4 rounds. All of them were solid and not weak at all. Unbelievable. The disciples of the Iron-Boned sect are too strong. Martial masters are fighting Wuzong like it's a game. Are they even human? Many martial artists broke down. However, the martial artists of the Azure Sun County were more worried. They had to win 9 out of 10 rounds of life and death battles. They had to win 9 rounds and not drop the ball in the last round. The evil sect of the Huayang County sent out their last contestant. He was a high-stage 3rd stage Wuzong. His strength was on par with Wan Shouxian. Jun Changshao also sent out his last disciple. Who? Lu Qianshan. Letting a woman fight the last round? Isn't this too reckless? If they lose, the leader of the Iron Bones sect and his disciples will have to kill themselves. The martial artists of the Azure Sun County broke down when they saw Lu Qianqian walking up the life and death ring. However, only Xie Guangquan, Ai Shangyao, and the others were calm. They had seen Lu Qianqian fight in the Sacred Springs sect and knew that she was a rare ice-type martial artist. Her strength was also very strong and was definitely not weaker than Li Qingyang and Yi Xingchen. It was settled. With the eldest disciple as the finale, winning all 10 rounds was not a problem. Xie Guangquan and Ai Shangyao's tense faces finally showed a smile. 6.